an on-air check for a freaking hour. I was sitting here doing tests and all this crap. Yeah, go ahead, though. Sorry.
No, it was crazy. I mean, all the tests yesterday, and but there's just a very small lag between me and you. It's nothing. I mean, there may be a couple times where we talk over each other, but it'll be good to go. Yeah, I mean, it always happens anyway. So, what else? We're going to be taking a live phone. I'm so glad that we're here live, man. And it's gone off without a hitch, man. It has gone off without a hitch.
We're not listening. I mean, the fans might be hearing something different. From what I'm hearing, it sounds good so far, man. I'm happy.
No,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, it sounds really good. JMK is actually here on my end, and he says that everything is cool and everything is good to go. So, like I said, we're going to talk wrestling. We've got a live chat room going on right now, WZROnline.com /chat. You can get into the live chat room. We've got a live phone number at 724-444-7444. Call ID number is 30273. So basically, you call up the number, and then it's going to ask you for a call ID number, and you put in 30273, and then we are able to take your call. Yeah, hit the pound. I always forget that.
They tell you that all you got to do is call 724-444-7444. Once you do that, all the instructions are easy as pie. They tell you exactly what to do. You just do it. Bam, you'll be joining me and my homie, my compadre, Ryan Clark, here on the air. What do you think of that?
No doubt. So WZROnline.com /chat, that actually has all the information at the bottom there on how to call up live. So you can call up live, and we will take your calls later in our numero dos. What else?
What's been going on with you since last week? Since last week's show, what's been going on in the world of Ryan Clark? I want to know. I want the fans to know, and I want to know. I want to sit here and go on a journey, because I know you personally as a friend. And I know that you've gone through a couple of cool experiences the past week. So as far as work is going, as far as your personal life's going, what has the last 7 days been like for Mr. Ryan Clark?
You say cool? Cool? Did you say cool experiences?
It'll be cool for the people to listen to. The stories, they're cool.
All right. Well, I'll give you one. I'll give you one to start us off right now. Let me give you one. On Sunday, I was over at the house and just kind of working it up, watching actually it was right before the NFL game was supposed to start up at 3 o'clock. And I get a call from my sister who had taken my car to go out and pick up the baby and bring her back to the house. So I get a call, and she says, "Hey, I just got pulled over. I'm on the side of the road." I said, "Oh, man." I said, what's going on?
Let me break in real quick. Hold your thought. This is such a ramp up, man. He's got a huge story to tell you, and he's going right from the very beginning just to tease everybody. It's going to get real good in a second. Go ahead. Continue.
Okay.
Proceed.
All right. I'm glad you're putting this over for me, baby.
It's a funny story. Story, man. You just told me right before we came on the air. It's a funny-ass story. I like it.
All right, so she calls me up, and she's in my car, right? Keep in mind, she's in my car. And I said, "What did he write you the tickets for?" She says, "No seatbelt." All right, that's number one. Loud exhaust is number 2, okay, because I have a dual exhaust on my car. For anybody, I own a 2004 Hyundai Tiburon, and if I'm not mistaken, all Tiburons are made with a dual exhaust. So I was pissed. By this point, I had found out, and not only that, but she was driving. I had no registration on my car. I knew that. I'd spent a couple months. I don't have registration. I have to go get it. It's only $50. I have insurance, but I don't have registration, okay? So there's 3, no registration, the loud muffler, and the no seatbelt. Then he rings up my sister's license, right, which, of course, comes up suspended.
Of course.
So I said, okay, so what's the deal? He wouldn't let her leave, all right? So he takes the, what was that, man?
Excuse me.
Burp?
I'm drinking a beverage that I'm tapping the Rockies lightly. Let's see if anybody knows what that should be the giveaway question for this week for the trivia.
Yeah, right. They know what that means. By the time we hit 9 o'clock, we're screwed. We're all screwed here. No, but anyway, so she calls up and she says, "Hey, my license is suspended. I need you to come out here." So what do? I call a buddy and I say, "Hey, man, I got to go." And this is like a 45-minute drive from the apartment here. And I get my buddy. He comes and picks me up, and by this point, I am pissed, man, because I got loud exhaust, and I know my car.
Tell me about the weather. Tell me about the weather. Why are you pissed?
Oh, yeah.
45? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so when I get
picture.
there, when I get there, the weather's 10 degrees. It's a 10-degree day outside. It's snowing like crazy on Sunday up here. So
Albany,
I get
New York.
there.
Yeah.
Albany, New York. So I am pissed, right? And I show up to the scene, I guess, right?
Yeah.
I get there, and the cop, right? I get there with my buddy, and he says to me, "Let me see both of your IDs," right? Because I'm coming out there to pick up my car, right? So I walk up to the cop, and he says, "Let me see both of your IDs." I'm like a nasty ad. I said, "Wait a second. I said, "Why do you need to see my buddy's ID, right? When he just drove me, what is your reason for asking for this guy's ID, right?" I gave him my ID. I said, "You can check my ID. I'm here." My buddy Dave, who picked me up, he's a nice guy. He says, "Man, I got nothing to worry about." He gives him the license. So they go back and check it. What does this prick do, right? But gets on and he puts the loudspeaker, the loudspeaker on the car, and it comes up and it says, "Clark suspended 2007. I had no idea that I had a suspended license, right? So he gets out of the car. He gets out of the car and he says, "No, now you can't drive." And he gave me I've never been face to face. So I thought he was going to handcuff me. I thought
like an umpire and a pissed off baseball player, man. You guys were going at it.
Or I mean, it was kind of crazy, man. And anyways, so remember I said it was a 10-degree day, it's snowing like crazy. Turns out that he took the keys to my car, left the sister and the baby in the back of the car for over an hour as I got there. And then he came up to the car. My sister called me on the way out there, and she says, "Hey, when are you going to be here?" The cop says he doesn't have all day, and he's going to have a tow truck come and tow the car. Anyways, I get there. My license comes up suspended. Dave takes those guys home. So I'm left there with the cop, right? And he says, "Well, what do you want to do now?" I said, "Well, I guess we have to get it towed, right?" So I try to pull one over on him, right? And I say, "Okay, whatever. I got AAA." Right? I'm pissed by this point. Whatever.
This is where the story, let me tell you, this is where the story gets good right here. Everybody keep listening. If you ain't enjoyed it yet, you're about to right now. Go ahead.
So he comes, I'm waiting there. I'm waiting there for the tow truck driver to get here, and the cop is still there with my keys held hostage. And I'm like, "Oh, man, dude, are you kidding me?" The tow truck driver shows up. What does the cop do but waltz up, okay, and comes in and says, "Hey, this guy's got a suspended license, but does AAA, do they cover for suspended drivers?" And the guy says, "No, we don't. We're roadside service, and if you have a suspended license, we don't come and pick it up." So I said that the cop says, "All right, and there's your answer." And he looks at me with like this smart ass look, you know. He gets in his car and he takes off. All right. So now we're left with just me, my car, and the tow truck driver. And I said to the tow truck, I said, "Listen, man, I have been here for 3 hours. This cop is the biggest prick. The biggest, oh man, I could call him every name in the book.
Abuse of authority.
It is. And so anyways, my sister's going, I'm there with the tow truck driver. And I said, "All right, so how much is it going to be for a tow?" It says $60 for the tow and $4.50 for every mile thereafter.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's about an hour drive back to my house, right? So there was no way in hell I'm thinking to myself that I'm going to give this guy $60 for the base fee and then $4.50 every mile. So I told the guy, I said, "Listen, man," I said, "work with me here, right?" Thank God the tow truck driver was an all right guy, and he said, "Listen, man, I'll tell you what, as soon as it's off the back of my truck, I don't care what you do with it, right?" So I told the tow truck driver, I said, "Look, drive this thing to the first exit, get off at the exit, go to the mobile station, and drop it off in the parking lot of the mobile station," right? So he agrees, and he towed me a mile, and I write him a thing for $64 and something. You can bet your ass. Hey, listen,
you got him for 1 mile.
He got me for 1 mile for the tow, the base fee, and then the 1 mile. You can bet your ass that as soon as that car got off the back of that truck, I got in that sumbitch. I got my keys back. Oh, hey man, you want to talk about a loud muffler? The dumb people at that mobile station heard what a loud muffle is all about, and I drove that sumbitch right back to East Greenbush, buddy, and that was Sunday. That was Sunday.
That's a good story. And you kind of fell apart at the end. You should have had a good ending, because that's where the story gets really freaking cool. Sorry.
I know, but you put it over so big, and then it was like I had to deliver. You know what I mean? I had to completely deliver.
Let me tell you right now, everybody that's listening right now just enjoyed that story. They're forgetting that they're wrestling fans, and they're like, "That's a cool ass story."
Wait, you want the best part of the story? Here's the best part of the story.
Of course.
That anybody that lives in the state of New York that follows the New York State Lottery, right? There was a lady, her name, she always says, "I'm Yolanda Vega," right? That's how she does it in, I don't know, it's a lot. "I'm Yolanda Vega, here are your winning numbers." She does it every single night, right? The tow truck driver says to me, "Do you know who that cop was?" I said, "Who?" "Oh, that's Yolanda Vega's other half, or significant other, or something like that." So I'm like, oh, no way. So, I don't know. Yolanda Vega, the cop, whatever. That was
just tapped the Rockies again while you were saying all that. What do you think of that? I tapped it lightly.
I could tell.
We're giving away.
Huh?
I'm sorry. We're giving away. Are we giving away anything this week? DVDs, video games, anything? What are we doing?
Let me see if I can dig.
We got anything in stock? Like your double muffler? Did we got anything in stock? Like your double muffler? That's what I want to know.
And so I could tell I am going to have a ball with you come hour two with those beers flowing with you. But we will leave it. I can give something away. Xbox 360. Want to give an Xbox? Well, no, I don't want to do that. Let me see what else we got here. Yes, we can. Yeah, we'll do an Xbox 360 SmackDown versus Raw 2009 in our numero dos. We'll give.
There's the question.
Once we start taking live phone calls here. What else? We got to get.
Hold on. That's the question. Just to remind everybody, for an Xbox 360 version of the Raw versus SmackDown 2009.
2009. Yeah, the brand new one.
Okay, that video game will be available to the first person who answers the question. What is
we don't know. What's the question? We don't have a question
right now. Oh yeah. What beverage am I drinking when I say that I'm tapping the Rockies lightly? Name that beverage and you get a copy of SmackDown vs. Raw.
That has got to be the dumbest question that I
guarantee it. It'll be funny.
What beverage are you drinking when you're tapping the Rockies? Have you ever seen all the commercials of the train that comes out of the Rockies? Come on, man.
I'm tapping them lightly. Do you know the answer?
Yes, of course.
I don't think you do. Oh, we'll see.
It's Coors Light.
Oh, all right. Well, damn, you do know it. All right, shit.
Everybody in the chat, everybody's like, Coors Light. What are you kidding me, man? Everybody's seen those commercials. Do you watch any TV where they say tap the Rockies?
No, I don't watch it.
Coors Light.
Yeah, that's the joke, tapping the Rockies, but I figured lightly would throw them off. I don't know.
Anyway, I'll still give it away. I'll give an Xbox 360 SmackDown versus Raw 2009 game away in our number two. Just to usually we take random callers. When I used to do this shindig with Richard Gray, who we'll get to here in just a second, I used to just take random callers. So if somebody calls up in hour number two, says they want an Xbox 360, I'll hook them up.
That's something else that's been going on in your week of since WZR ended last week.
Well, nobody cares about my week. We got to get into wrestling. We got a lot
that's what I'm asking you. What happened? What's going on with Gray?
Gray. We've got Richard Gray. You guys know that I hadn't talked to him in a couple weeks. I really didn't know what the deal was with him. I hadn't talked to him in about 3 weeks, and I got an email from him earlier today. I don't think he's going to be back in 2009. I'm not sure. I'm still asking to see if he would like to come back. I can assure you that over the past 3 weeks I've been here with you, and I haven't said anything about it. The only thing that I've said about Richard is that I don't know what the deal is
Why he's not here? Is he going to be here? You need to know. You need to find out some kind of information so that the fans that are used to the Clark and Gray show want to know where the hell Gray is. Where is he? I don't know, and we're trying to find out.
My honest answer is I didn't know where he was the past couple of weeks, and I got an email back today. Apparently, over the past couple of weeks, I said something. I don't know. I said something, and I said, man, I haven't been able to give any of these people an answer as to where you've been, and that's basically what I've said. I said that I had hoped to have him back. The only messages I got was from Ryan, who said that he wasn't going to be able to produce the show, and we went on and we did a. I don't know what's up with Richard. I know he has a part-time job, and I don't know. Richard.
You should have said right there. I don't think his part-time job. The part-time job. That's nothing to do with the public thing.
Well, no, Ryan and Rich. Hell, man. The ad market is so far down these days everywhere. Anybody that owns a website will tell you that the ad market is down. Hell, if I didn't run 4 or 5 sites myself, I don't know that I'd be doing this full time either, man. And
I just took a stumble myself because of this ad market economy crap. So I can understand.
And so it's just, it's everybody. It's just not the internet. It's everybody. People are getting laid off from their jobs all over.
You're talking about a guy right here that's talking to you on the other end of this microphone that had a job for 8 years that he just lost because of the economy and everything that comes with it. So
just because of a terrible economy, man. That's why I'm saying when I opened up the show here at the top of the hour, new president today. Hopefully this guy can come in and change stuff up. All right, we got to get to
George Bush's mess. That's what he needs to do. He needs to fix the mess that Mr. Bush created.
All right, we got to get to wrestling. We have Monday Night Raw from last night, and then a pretty busy week of news. We've got a lot of news and rumors and WrestleMania 25 plans. A lot of exclusive stuff that hasn't been up on any of the websites just yet that we are going to put up here in the next couple of days. But we'll give you the news here first on WZR Radio. One last thing, we don't have any Impact or SmackDown tapings tonight. They did both of those last week. Last Monday and Tuesday was a very, very busy week here on the web. Yeah, double tapings. SmackDown did a double taping last Tuesday. Impact taped their TV on Monday and Tuesday. Last thing here, football, baby. We've got the Arizona Cardinals versus the Pittsburgh Steelers in the Super Bowl this year. What do you think?
I don't like that Super Bowl, man. I was hoping for Philly, and before the Giants lost, I was hoping for them. But that was only because my Lions didn't win a single game the entire season. For the first time in history, an 0-16 team. So after that happened, I was just like, let's hope one of my former hometown. I've lived in Pennsylvania. I've lived in New York. I've lived in Maryland. So if the Ravens, the Steelers, the Eagles, the Giants, the Jets, if any of those teams would have made it, and all of them, I believe all of those teams I just named were in the running at one point or another to, you know what I mean? So
you said that you were going with the Eagles, but the Eagles defeated Baltimore over the weekend.
So what? I'm saying I'm reaching for strings to pull after this point. After the fact that the Lions didn't make it, of course I go to the Ravens. Once the Ravens lose, I'm looking for anything that I can grasp onto where I have some kind of connection to the team.
No, but what I'm saying there was only 4 teams left, right? There was only 4 teams left, and you had, what was it? You had Pittsburgh. Baltimore was one of the final 4 teams. So you said that you rooted for Philly, but yet they played Baltimore. So
No. I said I was hoping for any of those teams to make it, and you said Arizona made it against the Steelers, right?
No, Baltimore. It was actually Baltimore. Steelers beat the Ravens, and the Cardinals beat the Eagles.
Yeah, so Arizona and Steelers, like I just said.
Yeah, Arizona and Steelers. Yeah, I had it screwed up. Because I thought that it was. I thought it was Baltimore and Philadelphia, big.
So now the only attachment I got to the Super Bowl is I've lived in Pennsylvania before, so I got, I guess, some kind of attachment to the Steelers. And I guess I hope they win. I don't like the Cardinals. I know that.
Well, the Cardinals were a nobody back in the day. They just kind of came out of nowhere, and
they used to be. They weren't even an Arizona Cardinals. They were what?
See, somebody in the chat room can tell. Yeah, the Arizona Cardinals. It was the St. Louis
St.
No,
Louis.
that's a baseball. No, that's a baseball team, right?
Yeah, that's baseball. So
yeah, I don't know where Arizona. Well, somebody in the chat room will call it up. Hey, the people in the chat room want us to get to wrestling. You guys, I mean, we give like, I mean, every single week. I mean, I know that they don't want the chat stuff and they don't want the end of it. You know, we give you like 20 minutes of just what's going on. I mean, you got to get to know the host. You know what I mean? We'll get the wrestling.
Look at it this way. Look at it this way. We do a 2-hour show and we take maybe 1 2-minute commercial break in 2 hours. First of all, name any radio host that does that. Ryan Clark is the man. That man can go for 2 hours talking about anything and make it sound. He just talked about his sister getting pulled over, and I was sitting here giggling and smiling the whole time because I loved it. He can go for 2 hours. Go ahead.
You know, I'm also going to take. I'm able to take phone calls tonight as well. So people that are in Q. I screw that up every single time. People that are in Q will be able to take your calls. So I'm going to take your phone calls. We're going to run down Raw right now. We've got a lot of backstage news and all kinds of stuff that we're going to get to here in a little bit. You know, if I don't want
to screw with the format of your show, but I would just say at the beginning, before you get into after you get off of your weekend and what happened since last week's show, I would say that's a good time to take a caller or two and then get into Raw. I don't know. What do you think?
Let me run down Raw and then I'll take some calls, man. Because I like to hold off calls for hour number 2. Once we get into some news and stuff like that, we'll take calls in hour 2. Let's move into Monday Night Raw from last night. I know you caught some of the ending segment. I know your power went out last night, right?
Yeah. I had the electricity go out, so I didn't watch Raw, but I listened to the final segment with Jericho and Orton and Stephanie and Vince. So I heard all that.
Yeah, so we got that. I'll run down the rest of the show, and then I know you're kind of up to date on some of the news. You went through the show file earlier, and then we're going to, maybe in hour number 2, at the start of hour number 2, we'll run down a little bit of UFC, because it's not just wrestling fans, guys. I mean, I have this up on MMAscoops.com. I have it up on, it's probably up on MMAnews.com. If it's not, it should be. But no. So we do MMA, UFC, WWE, TNA. I mean, we try to cover it all. So, I mean, we can't, I know you guys want wrestling. I know some of you guys don't want MMA. It's a mix for everybody. Just
you got to look at it this way. I mean, UFC's got Brock Lesnar. Ken Shamrock's about to fight again. We're about to interview him for MMAnews.com. Cheap plug. You got Kurt Angle tipping and tapping back and forth between wrestling and the idea of going to MMA. When you look at wrestling, TNA's had guys like Tito Ortiz come in, Marcus Davis come in. If you haven't understood by now that it's a similar genre, the fans they like both products. You know what I mean? Or if they don't, they soon will when they get older. It's a sport that really coincides with wrestling. Both fans.
Yeah, and the reason that we run it down is for some of you guys that aren't, interested in MMA. Maybe we can try to get you interested. Maybe we can have you check out a pay-per-view. And
you'll love it if you do. I guarantee you.
I know they would absolutely love it if they just ordered a UFC pay-per-view. So maybe if we keep running it down here, and we'll let them know it's up. Maybe one of these people tune in. All right, let's run it down. Let's run Monday Night Raw from last night. Here's your wrestling news, guys. Here we go. We're gonna run down lots of backstage news Monday Night Raw as well, and a lot of other stuff. Here we go. Monday Night Raw last night started out with a 6-man, like a mini Royal Rumble, with different rules. Obviously, only one foot had to hit the floor last night, or both feet had to. What is it in the Royal Rumble?
Both feet have to hit the floor because there was a Royal Rumble in the late 90s where Shawn Michaels, they threw him over the top. They thought he was eliminated, but only one foot hit the floor, and they showed the replay a million times, like Vince's kick last night, which we'll get into later. His foot hit the floor, but the other foot didn't hit the floor. So he came back in, threw the first bulldog over the top rope, and he won the Royal Rumble that way, and it was like a big thing back in the day. So both feet have to hit.
All right. Hey, just for you guys in the chat room, I'm actually taking the phone calls and I'm trying to ban these idiots that are in the chat. Unfortunately, we can only have one mod in the chat room on a weekly basis. That happens to be me tonight, but I am trying to kick them out as they come. The problem is we've got a lot of listeners from the TalkShoe.com website. We're actually featured on the main page, so we have a ton of guests, a ton of new people. Yeah, a ton of new people that come in, and then they see that there's over 50 people in the chat, and a lot of these chat rooms have 3 or 4 people in it per show, and they see a big show like this, and they come in here and they go nuts.
Right?
So. Yeah, well, it's a big deal for TalkShoe. We're one of the bigger shows on the TalkShoe.com website. So I'm working on it, guys. As I see them, I will get rid of them, and we'll take them out as we go here. So Monday Night Raw, we started it out. We had Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes, Ted DiBiase Jr., Kane, Kofi Kingston, and Santino Marella in a 6-man battle royal. Like I said, Kane ended up eliminating Cody Rhodes and almost Ted DiBiase, but Orton was about to Orton was about to eliminate Kane. And DiBiase came up from behind and basically sacrificed the match for Randy Orton because they're part of the legacy group. So Ted DiBiase, we'll get to that later. I mean, they did a backstage segment basically saying that if it came down to the same situation in the Royal Rumble, Randy would have hoped that Ted DiBiase would do the same thing that he did on Raw. So there may be some sort of storyline brewing there come Sunday. We'll talk about the Royal Rumble card here in just a minute as well. Hey, it was an all right opening match. It was just so short, man. I mean, it only went for maybe 6 or 7 minutes. I think we were done by like 9:08 Eastern time or something with that match, and it was a 6-man battle royal. So I expected that they were going to give that a little bit more time, but they wound up not doing that. Then we moved on to Beth Phoenix, defeated Kelly Kelly. Man, Kelly Kelly is
hot.
Yeah, hot, real hot, man. She's
young and hot, very young and hot.
Young and hot. She's 20. Is it 22? 22. Yeah.
Just turned 22. Yeah.
That's right. I put that up on the last Thursday. Actually, I put that up on the website. Kelly Kelly turned 22 on Thursday. Batista actually turned 40.
Yeah, he's older than people think. There was always a big debate between me and you and some of our friends about how old Batista was. I always said, nah, he's older than you think, man. He's up there.
I remember you telling me that back in the day, and I never believed it because he looks a lot younger, obviously, than what he is. What was next? Oh, we had CM Punk defeated William Regal to win the Intercontinental title. We said it last week on the archived edition of the show. CM Punk in his hometown of Chicago. I had expected him to walk out of there with the title, and that's what happened. And let me tell you, CM Punk was over huge last night. I mean, probably one of the biggest pops of the night. And then the title win, I mean, the pop for that was huge, too. And then they did the celebration afterwards where CM Punk walked around the ring, stayed out there for quite some time. So that was cool to see. You know, it was Chicago, CM Punk's hometown, a guy that was over huge thing.
3 weeks of the same exact match to get there, but you finally did it and gave it to him in his hometown, so that's smart. Yeah, let me tell you real quick. Give us the number one more time because Rhode Island is calling in non-stop on this old number that we had. I'm telling you right now, he will not stop calling. I know it's him. So.
Yeah, is he really? All right, 724-444-7444. Then once you call that, you enter a call ID. It'll ask for the call ID, and it's 30273 followed by the pound key. So 724-444-7444. Call ID number 30273 followed by the pound number. And the funny thing about Rhode Island is when he calls up tonight, he's going to be put in that queue. Right?
Yeah, he's going to be on hold.
Yeah, so he's going to be on hold for quite some time. And I'll take him when I'm ready.
Let me just apologize before I ask this question, but I feel like already lying on the Howard Stern show. I think I tapped the Rockies one too many times. You're going through Raw. Is it okay if I go and urinate really quick while you're doing this Raw stuff? Can I ask you that without being embarrassed?
Hey man, we're live. If my man's got to take a piss on a live radio show, then so be it. Go do your thing. You don't know much about Raw anyway. You didn't really watch it, so I'll be
back for the ending.
No, go ahead. Do your thing, and then and then Matty B. Leave it to Matty B. Man, you are a tool and a half, my man.
I'm a character, guys. All right, I'm gonna go take a piss. I'll be back for the ending of Raw. Do your thing, Ryan.
All right, buddy, I got you. All right, back to Monday Night Raw. We left off at CM Punk defeated William Regal to win the Intercontinental Champion. That was an exclusive, guys, right here on WZR Radio last week. We reported that here on the website. The next match was Rey Mysterio defeated Mike Knox. What they see in this Mike Knox guy, it must be the guy's size. I mean, we all know that they are big fans of bigger guys in the wrestling business, and I think Mike Knox, this is a guy that's been fired. Shoot, how many times? I think last year he may have been fired, and they brought him back. They're giving him a push. Poor Rey Mysterio. They like to feed him, the little guy that beats the big monsters. And this is just a way. They're going with Mike Knox. It's just another big guy that Rey Mysterio is forced to take out. We're actually going to talk about something later once we get into news and rumors. There were actually original plans for Low Key to be a part of a feud with Rey Mysterio here in the coming months. Whether that is still on, I am not sure. Low Key, as we've been reporting on the websites, is down in Florida Championship Wrestling right now. But from what I'm told, it's going to be a fairly quick call-up. He's not going to be down there for an extended amount of time, and we'll see if the Rey Mysterio plan is still there once he is called up to the main roster. The Rey Mysterio Mike Knox storyline could go here for a couple of weeks. I don't know. That's obviously going to run its course pretty quick. Mike Knox's. The poor guy, when his music hits, the crowd was dead last night, absolutely freaking dead when he came out, and week after week, just no pop at all. People aren't taking to this guy, and I think they're obviously gonna have to take a name like Ray and move him on to something bigger and low key. Maybe that guy once he is called up. You back, Matty B?
Yeah, and you said they needed to move Ray on to somebody more low key. Maybe low key. Where's he at?
They do, yeah, right. Hey, you know what? I probably shouldn't say this on a live radio show.
That means you should. That means you should, right there.
No, it's not like that. It's not anything like that. It's just what goes through people's minds when, like on a Tuesday night, it's 7:40 on a Tuesday night, and these people come in and say, okay, we have nothing better to do than come into a live chat room and scroll over and over and over again. And then it's like we block them, right? And then what does he do but refresh the chat page and comes back and does it again? Is that really on a Tuesday night? Is that you've honestly got nothing better to do than to come in here and do so? I'm taking care of him as I see him, but my God, man. My God, people...
You can't ask me that question because it's Tuesday night, 7:40 for me as well, and I'm getting drunk right now, so I'm pretty much the biggest...
I can't stand it. And let me just say this. I always told you, I think I told you a couple of weeks ago, I said, man, if you get drunk, I said, don't come on to a live radio show and tell the people, hey, guys, I'm getting drunk. Just keep it to yourself, baby.
Well,
you don't need to brag that you're getting drunk on a Tuesday night. Come on, man.
Well, same way I'm insecure. Like you said, when I say it's a good show because I'm very hard-hitting as far as when we do a good show, you know what I mean? It's the same thing when I'm drinking. I feel bad that I'm doing a bad show that I got to make an excuse.
How about not drinking? How about not drinking until we go off the air here, and then? But we've already established, like the people already know that Matt Boone is drinking a couple Coors Lights. So when we keep bringing it up every 5 minutes.
Come on, man, that was a joke. You said the guy, what's he got better to do on a Tuesday night? I said, you can't ask me. That's a good joke.
Okay, all right. I just think I don't think people really care that Matt Boone is drinking. I think they want to hear wrestling news and not Matt Boone is cracking another beer. Matt Boone is drinking another beer. You know what I mean, man?
I didn't say any of that. All I said was you were talking about a chat guy. What's he got better to do? You shouldn't ask me. I'm a loser just like that guy.
All right.
No,
we'll go back to Monday Night Raw. We had Crime Time defeated the tag team of The Miz and John Morrison. Decent stuff here. I mean, another really short match, and then it seemed like they kind of threw another Divas match in. Melina defeated Jillian Hall. And that was just thrown in before the big Vince McMahon segment that they did in the end, which we're going to be able to talk about.
They call that a bridge match to calm it's to calm the crowd down, the live audience down before they do the final thing, which was going to be a big thing with Vince returning and everything. So they were just calm down the crowd.
Yeah, it was. It's kind of like a filler match, like you said, where they just kind of the crowd goes dead, and then they build it up for the big segment, like you just said. But they threw it on there. I think it was like 10:50 Eastern time. So they only had about 15 minutes. But that show last night, I mean, the overrun on Raw, I don't think it ended till almost 11:20.
I didn't have any power, but you said at one point it was 11:14, and I think that was right when Randy Orton came out. So it went long as hell, yeah.
Yeah, it was a very, very long segment, and they didn't appear to be in any rush. Listen, to JMK, who was our producer, like the guy blasts me with IMs. So I don't think people, when I'm trying to take live phone calls, right, and I'm trying to mod a chat room, and I've got IMs being blasted in my face, I could really, really do without the IMs right now, JMK. So I didn't want to have to, I keep saying shh, 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 but it keeps going and going and going and going. So there we go. I had to say it live on the air. And
now he knows.
IMs.
Shut up.
Now he knows. Now he knows. Now he knows. Just shh, shh. We're okay. All right, I can see the chat room. Now, what else? Let's man. This is a lot of work tonight. Let's get to some backstage segments that happened during Raw. Randy Orton at one point was backstage with Ted DiBiase, and basically said that there was a rumor. They were in Stephanie McMahon's office earlier in the day, and rumor has it that Stephanie was going to fire him later tonight. So that led us to basically the ending segment of Raw. Actually, they did another segment where Randy Orton walked in Stephanie's office and said, "Hey, I heard the rumors you're going to fire me," and Stephanie says that wasn't true. Then there was a point where Orton said that no one respects Stephanie, and the only reason that she has a job is because the last name is McMahon. She slapped him in the face, and he walked out of the office. Now, there was another segment on Monday Night Raw. They did a contract signing with Shawn Michaels or JBL, Shawn Michaels and John Cena. And during the contract signing, I mean, this is a really, really intriguing storyline. Just over the last couple months, the storyline is that JBL is being forced to work, or Shawn Michaels is being forced to work with JBL because he's fallen on tough times over the last few months. And
financially, yes.
Yes, financially. So they did a segment here. I'm trying to help me out here. Well, you didn't see it. I'm trying to go back, figure out what happened. Michaels went for a super kick on John Cena, and he ducked, and JBL cold clocked him, and then JBL hit a clothesline from hell as Michaels walked away. The mic work there was absolutely tremendous, man, tremendous from all three guys that were involved in that match. And then now let's talk about the ending segment where you actually called me because your power went out, and I put the telephone up to the TV for you to try to listen, man. I know it was kind of cutting out a little bit.
Yeah. I heard enough of it to know what happened. So it was. I didn't see it, but it sounded like a decent little ending to the show. It sounded like it. Yeah,
it was, it went on a little bit long. There was one funny moment. Basically what happened is Vince McMahon came out and said that we've had some problems as of late in the last few weeks with Jericho and others not happy with Stephanie McMahon. So Jericho comes out, Vince brings out Jericho and says, hey, man, plead your case. What do you got to tell me? And then Vince says, all right, you've pled your case, now let's bring out Stephanie, and we'll see what she has to say. So Vince basically tells Stephanie, hey, do you want to give this guy a second chance? Stephanie says, well, if you want a second chance, you've got to apologize to me, which he does, real sarcastic apology. And then she says people that he actually should be apologizing to is the people in the crowd. And at that point, the crowd started chanting something like on your knees, or something like that. And you could tell Stephanie grabbed the microphone and said something along the lines of, you hear him, get on your knees or something. And Jericho just kind of looked over, gave her that smirk like, oh, man. Something that obviously wasn't planned ahead of time, because you don't know what the crowd is going to chant, but they rolled with it, you know what I mean? They just kind of went with it. So he got on his knees and gave you heard it, a real, oh, I'm sorry, whatever.
I thought it was funny. You didn't like that part, right? I thought it was funny.
No, I liked it. I thought, the sarcasm in his voice was awesome, man. It was absolutely awesome. So then they sent him to the back. He's got his job back. He'll be back here. He's actually going to be a part of the Royal Rumble match coming up this Sunday night. We're going to run down the card here in just a little bit. So you thought that was it, and then Randy Orton's music hit. And this is where it got really good. I mean, what a way to end Raw. And Raw, as of late, has been, I don't want to say must-watch TV, because it's definitely not that. But there are
getting back on track.
Yeah, getting back on track, no doubt, man. That's a perfect way to put it. They've got, with the JBL and the Michaels storyline, with Cena there as well. I think that's a really good storyline. As eventually, JBL is kind of saying this stuff like, this is your WrestleMania, you'll never be at WrestleMania. So obviously leading up to WrestleMania, there'll come the point where Shawn Michaels turns, super kicks JBL, and then they set up a match. So we'll have Shawn Michaels versus JBL at WrestleMania. Shawn Michaels, JBL Mania, Shawn Michaels, you kind of want to see, can I say higher profile match, you know what I mean, at Mania. But JBL has been really, really on his game as a great heel. You agree with that, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's a great heel. He's a strong personality. He's got a good gimmick. And Shawn Michaels is the kind of guy, like they had Shawn Michaels and John Cena headline WrestleMania about 3 or 4 years ago, was it? It's on Shawn Michaels' DVD, Heartbreak and Triumph, whatever. Shawn Michaels can bring the best out of anybody. So if you're going to have JBL in a main, high-tier match at WrestleMania, who better than Shawn Michaels, I would think, because Shawn Michaels is the guy that's going to bring the best out of him. So as far as the work in the ring, Shawn Michaels is your best bet. He can get a good match out of anybody. He did it with Diesel for years, et cetera, et cetera. Who else are you going to go to?
Yeah. So, that storyline, and then you've got, with Vince's return last night, they hyped that up for a good 2 weeks. It was great. It's really, it's something it's been better, man, because we had it seems like years now. There's a couple good Raws thrown in here and there, a couple good things that eventually pop up, but it seems like it's been so long where we just haven't got a really, really solid show. And we didn't have that last night. I'm not saying that last night's show was perfect. We had 2 Diva matches that really, really weren't all that last time. I'm not a big fan of Diva matches. I can't. Maybe that's just me. Coming from me. That's my feeling. But the main storylines are, they bring you back each week, and especially the way they ended Raw last night. Randy Orton, like I was saying, came out and basically told off Stephanie. Basically, I don't remember his exact wording, but basically told her off right in front of Vince. This obviously pissed off Vince, and it was announced by this time that Vince and Stephanie were going to be in charge of Raw. Obviously, they did the injury angle with Vince last night, so I don't know. He's obviously going to be out for at least a few weeks here, I would think, with that injury, but I would expect him back by WrestleMania. But they are going to sell that injury here for a few weeks, and basically, Randy came out and insulted Stephanie, and Vince went to go ahead and fire him, and as he was about to say fired, Randy slapped him in the face and then booted him.
I don't think that's good enough. I don't think that stop the show. I don't think that's good enough. You can do that saying just like
no,
Vince.
I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I can't.
It
My
sounds
voice
just
is
like
all
him.
messed. I can't. I gotta get warmed up for that. It's not something that I can do off of that. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know what you're saying. You sound just like him. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
God, fire. Yeah,
that's
no?
pretty good. See?
Yeah, was it all right?
Yeah.
All right, straight off the fly for you, baby. No. All right, so we had that, and like I said before, Vince could say fired. He no, that wasn't that good, but whatever. Yeah, so Randy punted it. Let me tell you, that looked vicious last night. I was telling you before we went on the air, they did a slow-mo and then like a slower-mo. You know what I mean, where they slowed it down.
Which means it was a real kick. Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty brutal, man. I mean, it looked. I haven't heard any updates on Vince today. It's been a really quiet news day, to be honest with you. But I mean, it looked nasty. I mean, we would have heard something if Vince was legitimately injured, and so that's obviously not the case. But I mean, that was Randy's punted a couple people here in the last few months. I think. What was it? Was it Bob Orton? I think he punted his own father at one point, man.
Which is funny because his dad got some, not heat, but his dad got buried last night by Vince. You know, his dad was a wrestler in a diner and blah 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 blah. So.
Yeah, that was good stuff. That was actually really, really good stuff. So that was
yeah, Vince was on
Raw.
his team. So you were talking about the upswing in Raw right now and how it's getting better. And I haven't been watching, so I feel stupid even talking about it. But it sounds to me like it's because the McMahons are back on TV. They've been so long off TV, and a lot of times when they're on TV too much, the fans start saying, "Hey, they're not wrestling. We don't want to see the McMahons. They're just characters. They're goofy. They're unneeded, unnecessary." But if they're not giving great promos, which I'm sure they are, if nothing else, it's just like the Austin McMahon Vince McMahon rivalry. It's something to play off of. It's fodder. You know, like Randy Orton, he has material now. You know, he can play off of Vince McMahon. He can play off Stephanie McMahon. He can play off what they're saying, what they're doing. You know.
Yeah, and the thing about it is a lot of people don't like Randy, and I mean, you've got to give this guy credit. I mean, his promos, just over the last few months have really greatly improved. I don't know if he's working with somebody on that, on how to show more emotion or something, but he has been really on his game. I mean, a great heel. I mean, between Orton and JBL and Jericho as your top heels over on Raw, I mean, tremendous job by all three on the microphone. And then that's also three guys that can work. I mean, Jericho, Orton is really not that bad in the ring, you know?
No, absolutely not. JBL is the only, shorthand, but he's got that stiff style that if somebody can work around it, you know what I mean? Knowing they got their work cut out for him, and this is how this guy's coming at me. If he, especially Shawn Michaels, is the perfect fit. He's the guy that says, "I know what he's bringing. I can make what his style is into a good match." So,
and it's another thing. I mean, Chris Jericho is another classic example of somebody that can go out and carry a match of any style. Whether it's a style like William Regal's, which is more a hardcore style. Well, not a hardcore, but a real stiff style. You know what? And that was what was really the CM Punk William Regal match last night was a really, really stiff match, and that's because both of those guys work that same stiff style, you know what I mean? And it really came across as a decent match. You know me. Remember when we used to do this show years ago?
Big Regal debate, yeah.
Yeah, huge Regal debate. I mean, I know he's a legit tough guy. I've heard that. But as far as in-ring work, it's just, I don't know. It's never been there for me. Last night was okay, just because of the style of match that they worked. You know what I mean?
You watched William Regal versus Chris Benoit. I think it was Chris Benoit at the Brian Pillman tribute show, that first one. Yeah. Or any of the WCW stuff. Well, William Regal, like, he would shoot on Goldberg because Goldberg was so stiff in the ring. He wouldn't feed anybody any kind of spots or any moves that they would look good. William Regal can work. He can work his ass off. I don't know if he's doing it right now, but he can.
All right. So that was Monday Night. Let's move off Monday Night Raw, and then we'll get to. We got a lot of news to get to, and then we got UFC 93 and live phone calls in hour number 2. Let me talk about the recent WWE releases over the last few weeks. Running down the updated list. A couple more were fired last week. I believe the cuts, not necessarily developmental, because there are still people down there that are evaluating talent, and I've heard that more releases may be possible on that end. As far as the main roster is concerned, it looks like we're kind of calm for a little bit here. They got rid of a bunch, and the guys that made it through are safe for right now until the next round of cuts comes, which usually happens in the spring, so you may only be around for, 2-3 months more before the spring cuts, usually right after WrestleMania, come later April. We'll see some more cuts. But it looks like the main roster cuts right now have eased off. Developmental is still a different story as of right now. So the latest releases, last week we had referee Mickey Henson, who has been with the company. He's been on a leave of absence for quite some time, but a guy that, had been there for a few years, 10 years, and a guy that was kind of another guy is, Sergeant Slaughter was another one who's been there for, God knows how long. I mean, these are just guys that you really thought that they were always going to be a part of WWE in some form. You know what I mean? Guys that are agents, guys that have been there for a long period of time, especially Sergeant Slaughter. I mean, that one really took me by surprise. Yes? No? Hello? Okay. I don't have Matt Boone here anymore, I don't think. Let's go to a commercial break. We've got to take a break anyway. We're at the top of the hour, so we'll do that, and then we'll come back right after this. And we're back. WZR Radio here on WZROnline.com. Ryan Clark, Matty B. I got Matt Boone back.
Oh yeah.
Hey, what's up, man? Hey, I just I got out of the chat room because I basically couldn't take live phone calls and I couldn't ban all these people. Tons and tons of spammers. I've got JMK in the chat. He's gonna mod the chat, so these guys will be they'll be going for good with him in there, and I'll still be able to take your live phone calls as well. So we got everything worked out. I apologize to the people that were in the chat room tonight. That just one retard, man, one retard spammer that is coming in there obviously has absolutely nothing better to do. We'll take live phone calls here in just a little bit, about 15 or 20 minutes. I know we got a couple in queue, and we will get to those as soon as we're done running down some news. I'll tell you what, hour number 2 is going to go a lot smoother than hour number 1. I was all, you guys could probably tell, man. I was trying to ban people in the chat room. I was trying to figure out how to take calls, and I had IMs coming in. So hour number 2 is going to go way smoother than hour number 1. I can actually concentrate on news and give you the backstage stuff and not have to worry about calls and spammers and all the other BS that comes with doing a live show, man.
It'll be nice when talents like Ryan Clark and Matt Boone can do a show without any handcuffs. You know what I mean? Just do the show. Don't worry about anything else going on. Don't have to worry about the chat. Don't have to worry about this. Don't have to worry about that. Just talk. That'd be nice.
Just talk. Just get on here and talk. That would be be great. Well, we had a good setup before, man. We had a great setup, and then we moved over to this talk show thing. And I had told JMK, I said, man, I want to be able to take phone calls, but he didn't tell me that you can only have one mod in a chat room, so I'm the only mod. We can't have 2 mods in there. So basically, JMK had to get on under my screen name and see. Shut up, JMK. Shut up. All right, here we go. WWE firings news and note. We had Hayde Vanson. This was kind of a big surprise. He was supposed to feud with The Undertaker. They're actually going to form a stable over on SmackDown leading into WrestleMania, and I believe Umaga, there were plans for Umaga to be a part of that as well, although I could never confirm that. But this Hayde Vanson, they actually aired a vignette for him just a few weeks ago, It only aired once on SmackDown, and then nobody ever saw it again. So somebody must have changed their mind. And then this poor guy who was in for a huge, huge push, a push with The Undertaker, somebody that was going to obviously put him over, by the time the feud would have ended, was cut, just a few days later after his vignette aired on SmackDown. So that was kind of a surprise. Obviously, somebody changed their mind. Like I said, we had Hardcore Holly was another one, another long tenured guy that was that's been there for a long period of time. Somebody that I thought, maybe at the end of his tenure there, maybe could have. I don't know, maybe something like an agent or a producer,
Do you remember Sparky Plug? Do you remember that? Do you go back that far?
I do. remember when Crash Holly? Man, rest in peace, buddy. But he used to bring out the scales. Remember?
Yep. Oh yeah, he was a super heavyweight, but he weighed like 190 pounds or something.
That was awesome back. That was back in the early days of the Attitude
Era. He
was
also Crash Holly. Crash Holly was one of the big parts of that. It was a cool storyline they should bring back. It was back when the hardcore title could be won at any time. Like, you could just beat somebody up backstage as long as there's a referee there with you. Help pin
Yeah. Remember they did. Remember they would have somebody would come out, get the pin, and then somebody else would come out, get the pin, and then get the pin, and they keep doing it like the title was changed.
There's been like 600 hardcore champions. Like, anybody that's been in the WWE can say, I'm a former hardcore champion of the WWE. They can say that.
Basically, man. Because that title used to change hands every couple of minutes, it seemed like, when they were doing a television show. We had Matt Capitelli, guy that had a brain tumor.
Is that Matt Morgan?
What's that?
Is that Matt Morgan?
No. Matt Morgan's over in TNA. This is Matt Capitelli. He was actually he was off of Tough Enough.
That's Matt Morgan.
No, that's not Matt Morgan. Matt Morgan's over in TNA, man. We had Matt Capitelli, and so he had a brain tumor, and he was scheduled. I mean, he wanted to make a return to the ring at some point. Had actually improved a lot, since he had the surgery to remove the tumor, and eventually wanted to return to the ring at some point in the future, and they released him, so he doesn't have that chance. Another guy, Gavin Spears, was over on ECW. Just came in as part of the. They had a new talent initiative where Teddy Long would bring new talent in, and Spears was one of those guys. So it was kind of surprising.
Sergeant
what's that?
Come on now, Sergeant Slaughter. He's been there forever. He's gone. Is that true?
Yeah, we already talked. I just talked about that. I just got into a big thing, Sergeant, just a couple minutes ago.
Really?
Yeah.
I saw a bug on my wall. Let me just explain to everybody listening. I thought I saw a bug on my wall. I was about to go kill it, but I didn't know if it was moving.
All right. We had Mike Cruel, another that was developmental. Kevin Thorne, another guy from WWE developmental. Well, no, he wasn't in developmental.
He's been in ECW. He was in the Vampire.
Yeah, they had brought him up, but he was in developmental as of late. Wasn't on the ECW, but that's another guy that's been fired before, and then they brought him back, and then they fired him again. Val Venus, another guy that I thought was going to be there for quite some time. Just a guy that has avoided all the previous cuts. You know what I mean? I mean, there's been so many, and you were always wondering, how do guys like Val Venus and how do guys like Val Venus was always the one that came up. He was always the name that you were like, how is this guy still sticking around after these cuts? But anyways, they pulled the plug on him. Spark plug.
There you go. Look at you.
Yeah. Bam Neely was another one. D'Lo Brown. They had just brought him back, man. It was actually just a few months ago. They wanted to bring more African American wrestlers into WWE, and D'Lo Brown was one of the guys that they were going to take after. Somebody that was known, somebody that they could bring back, and it'd be a known face, Yeah,
for for months, years now, they've been trying to bring D'Lo back, just finding the right, I don't want to say storyline, but just finding the right circumstances, to bring him back on the TV. And I heard you told me that they was only used very sporadically, so he wasn't like a big deal or anything yet. But for a long time, originally, back in the day during the Nation of Domination, during the Monday Night Wars, mid-'70s, D'Lo Brown was thought to be The Rock, he was supposed to be the next guy like The Rock. He was supposed to be charismatic and great worker, et cetera, et cetera. And
and I gotta. He is, but you know how it is. It's all about what they give you. It's all about the storyline, and they never really gave him anything.
Oh, his most famous storyline was probably when I think it was Ken Shamrock when he was still in WWF at the time. He ripped his pectoral muscle, and D'Lo Brown was wearing like some sort of vest, like a protective vest. And he was working with guys that did like the frog splash. If they would do the frog splash, they would hurt their own chest landing on his vest because it was loaded with steel and blah, 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 blah. But I mean, even besides him, Ron Simmons, damn,
I know. That's the next guy that was on my list too. Ron Simmons, another guy. I mean, guys that you thought that they were going to be around for the long haul. You know what I mean? You thought that they were always going to be a part of WWE. Just in different roles, whether it was in the office up in Stanford, or if it was in a backstage role, or if it was on house shows, live events. You just always kind of thought that they were going to be there. Stephanie McMahon's assistant also.
Ron Simmons, a former WCW World Champion, he had great success in the WWF in the I don't want to call it the original days, but like in the midst of the Monday Night War, he was one of the main players. He was the leader of the Nation of Domination. The Rocky Maivia at the time, he emanated underneath Ron Simmons, who was Farouk. Ron Simmons was a big deal for a long time, so it's kind of surprising, especially when he came back. They found a cool enough angle to where he didn't really have to do anything except say the word damn. And
but you know what? You bring that up. But there will also be opportunities in the future where you may see, I mean, not a full-time job, obviously. The guy lost a full-time job. But that's a guy that you'll see in backstage segments from time to time. Maybe not, now, obviously, that he just got released a couple weeks ago. But, I mean, in the future, I think that's a guy that you'll see make various cameos, you know what I mean, at least during backstage segments or something along those lines. Hey, guys, we got the live chat room going. I told you guys hour number 2 was going to be a much better hour than hour number 1, and things are going good here now. Live chat room is WZROnline.com /chat. Get on over to the live chat room. I want to take calls in just a little bit. At about 8:30 Eastern time is when I'll start taking calls, and then we'll end on that because I still got a lot of news that I want to get to before I get the live phone calls. If you want to call in, we'll put you in queue, and you guys can just hold on the line, and then once we pick up on you, you can ask your questions. 724-444-7444. Caller ID number is 30273, followed by the pound key. If you get in the live chat room at WZROnline.com /chat, all the information on how to call in is at the bottom of the chat page, so you won't have any problems. Now,
do you know what my zip code is compared to our call-in code on the show here? The call-in code is what, 30273 and the pound sign. My zip code is 32073. What do you think of that?
Oh.
That's pretty coincidental. Come on. That's something.
Okay. All right.
Something.
Yeah, I guess. It's close. It's not the...
Very close.
It's very close. Okay. What was it again? All right, give me it again. What was it again?
30273 and the pound sign. That's our call-in code. Now, my zip code is 32073. So all the numbers are there. They're just switched by like one number. That's it.
Not bad.
Yeah, Orange Park, Florida, baby. You'll know what it's about when you get here after Vegas. Huh?
Oh, man, Vegas. Don't even bring up Vegas, man, in a couple weeks.
We'll talk about UFC stuff. We'll talk about the UFC stuff.
All right, we'll talk about UFC here in just a little bit. Maybe we'll have to go about 15 minutes over here or something like that. We'll figure something out. Let's run down news because we got everything's good now. Everything's flowing good, man. Everything, you know what I'm saying? Hour number 2 is looking up, man. It's looking up for us. We're good to go. And now I think as long as we can go through hour number 2, right? We can go through this hour with no problems. I think next week, we finally have everything worked out, and we won't have any issues as long as hour number 2 goes fine. And I don't think we're going to have any problems in hour number 2.
Let's be honest with each other. The music.
What? Oh, the music. I just got a message from JMK. He actually he's got a buddy that is, he knows, he's been around this talk show thing for a long time, and we are going to be able to stream the music in with no problem starting next week. So next week we'll have our pre-show music. It'll sound perfectly fine. We'll do the live show. We'll be able to take your calls. I'll put JMK in charge of the chat so we won't have the spammers. And everything will be good to go. We've got everything set up now. We just didn't do it until hour number 2, because I thought I was going to be able to, like, if a spammer came in the chat, I thought I was going to be able to hit a block button where I could block an IP or something like that.
Yeah.
And apparently I don't know how to do that yet. So I put JMK. We switched it over during the commercial break, and he is in there now. Holding down the fort, holding down the chat for it. So if you guys want to get into the chat, it's WZROnline.com/chat. I promise there shouldn't be any problems in there, because we've got a good mod in there right now. Poor JMK, guy takes so much shit from me, man. Just over the last couple of weeks, man, I yell at him, I scream at him, and I feel so bad, because he really tries to help us out, and I think finally after tonight we got it. So, let's get back into some news. We got a lot of news to
I'm going to let you roll it off, man. You do your thing. I won't bother you.
Well, jump in here. Just jump in here if you got something to say. But we had Kevin Nash. Kevin Nash was released from the hospital last week, I believe, and actually drove home to his house in Florida. He lives in Florida. They advised him not to fly, so he drove from the hospital back to the house. The injury occurred in Japan, as we talked about last week. TNAWrestling.com actually has some photos, and it actually is. He wrote a blog, and it's actually like a shop vac, like a vacuum that's hooked up to his elbow, which I guess sucks the guts out. I don't know. It sounds nasty, but it sucks something out of his arm and keeps it from not getting infected. He's still hooked up to that back at the house. TNAWrestling.com just put up a article. They expect him back at next week's Double Impact taping. Obviously we're not going to see him in the ring just yet, but they do expect him back next week. Matty B, are you still here? Or did you go pee on me? He went pee at me. What a day. I knew he was going. You guys knew he was going too. Hey, we had Victoria. She retired last week. That kind of came out of the blue. She actually posted a blog a few weeks ago where she said that the retirement rumors that we had posted on the website there was not a lot of truth to them. And then, sure enough, they brought her into SmackDown, and they did the retirement angle. We stuck to our story because that's what I had heard, and then they did it on SmackDown. The way they did it, they gave Trish, Trish is in a league of her own, I understand that, but, Victoria, a veteran diva who's been there for God knows how many years, I think there was a better way that you could have sent her out than just, a match with Michelle McCool on last Friday's SmackDown, and then she cut a promo after the match, and that was edited out of the live SmackDown broadcast. So I just thought it was, she's not the type of. Are you back, Matty B?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I was looking for you there for a second. You know what it'd be fun.
No,
Well, I told the people that you probably want to take a piss. You should just tell me. You should say, I got to take another business.
You told me not to say that, so I said, I'll leave you alone while you're doing your news thing. I thought that was enough of a cue. I guess I'm retarded. What do you want me to do?
I went dead, man. I said, Matty? Matty B? Where'd Matty be? No. All right, so we had, what else do we have? I was just talking about Victoria. Her retirement from WWE. What do you think about that, man? A veteran diva. I know it's Victoria. She's not Trish Stratus.
No, but she's as good as the work. Trish was thought to be if not the best worker, one of the best workers in the women's division. She worked real hard to get better as far as her in-ring quality goes. And Victoria has always been one of the best in-ring workers of the ladies division. She doesn't look bad if you ask me. Christ, there was a saying back in the old WZR radio days. Victoria wears no panties for Mr. Clark.
Remember that? Yeah. Not bad. You got a good memory, man.
So, Victoria's been around forever. I mean, we've been doing this show for 8 years now. She's been around since day one because Regal, and that was our big debate between me and Ryan. And Victoria was Ryan's big joke. So she's going out with a big match at a big pay-per-view. It's not WrestleMania, but Trish Stratus, she went out, and it was almost like it didn't matter either. Same with Lita. She went out, and it was like it didn't matter either.
That's what I was just saying. They gave her a match on SmackDown with Michelle McCool, right? I mean, this was on last week's SmackDown. It was Michelle McCool and Victoria, and then after the match, she cut a heartfelt promo to the live crowd, and that didn't air on SmackDown. So they aired her.
They put it on WWE.com, right?
Okay, they put it on WWE.com, but I mean, for a veteran diva that's been around for that long to treat her that way on the way out, I think they could have done something else for her. I mean, I know it's WWE.com, but give me a break, man. It's not.
Well,
I mean,
okay. Let me ask you this: was Victoria's last match was that the match, or doesn't she have a pay-per-view match at Royal Rumble where it's her last match?
That's it. She's done.
Oh, she's done now.
She's done as of last Friday's SmackDown.
Oh,
she did
that's
the match
bad.
and then cut a promo after the match, and the promo, which was said to be really good for the live crowd, didn't even air on SmackDown.
Okay, that's bad. That's bad then. I thought she had a match this Sunday at Royal Rumble, and they just had her promo out last week. Okay, that's bad. That's bad.
Yeah, I mean, she's gone. I mean, they just kind of threw her out. I mean, just basically said, okay, you can do this for the live crowd, and we'll put it up on WWE.com, but we're not going to give you anything on national TV on Friday night. She's been around for years, man, years, and I want to say 20 years or close to 20 years with that company.
Nowhere near 20 years, but
because we were doing WZR radio for 8 or 9 years, and she was there well before that. Okay, so she was there well before that. I don't know when she entered WWE, but that would at least put her up at 15 years if we were doing the show for 9 years, right? She had at least been there for a few years prior to that.
She was pretty new around that time. I mean, anybody in the chat can go look at the history, but
somebody in the chat room tell me when Victoria debuted in WWE so we can try to get an idea. But nonetheless.
20 years would be 1989. She has not been around.
You're right. You know what? I got it on Google right here. It's on good. She joined in 2000. So
that's exactly. We started in 2001, so she was pretty much new when we started. So she's been around 9 years.
All right, yeah, I guess she has, man. I thought she started when she was younger, but I guess not. Maybe on the indie.
Like Trish.
Yeah. But it's a veteran diva, somebody that's been there, somebody that's worked hard over the years, never really caused any problems. And to send her out like that, I just don't know it was the right way to do it, you know?
Oh, I agree. I agree completely.
Kristen Cage, WWE update. This is interesting. TNA President Dixie Carter actually spoke to the Daily Star out of the United Kingdom. They're on tour of the UK right now. I think they have one show tonight, maybe one show tomorrow. Then I think they come back home. She was asked about Kristen Cage leaving TNA Wrestling, and her response was, "I'm very disappointed. I like him as a person and as a talent. It's interesting. He was the first big name to jump ship to us, and he's been the first to jump back. I wish him all the best." So that basically, that comes from your president, your TNA president, Dixie Carter. That confirms that he's obviously no longer with the company, and we had been reporting that on websites. I'm actually going to talk about some WrestleMania plans involving Christian. Looks right now like it's going to be Jeff Hardy versus Christian, and Triple H versus Edge will be your WrestleMania 25 main event or semi.
So that means Edge is going to win the title this Sunday at Royal Rumble from Jeff Hardy. That's what that means, right?
We're going to talk about that here in just a little bit. There may be a way at the Royal Rumble. To be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised. Christian is not far off. Whether they have, I don't know, maybe what would make most sense to me is at the Royal Rumble is you'd have Edge and Jeff Hardy in their match for the title. Maybe have somebody run down with a mask on, cost Hardy the match. Edge wins the title, and then play it up for a week or two or several weeks, and then you'd eventually.
That's a really good idea. I don't know if they're going to do that. Is that the plan, or is that you just guessing?
No, it's just
sounds good.
That's just coming from me. You could have him come out played up. I mean, who was it? Because they've got a hit and run angle, and then you've got the incident that happened before Survivor Series. So you know that somebody's after, and then you had a pyro incident last week on SmackDown. So you know that somebody's after Jeff, right? So when you do the match,
up. Okay.
Oh yeah, they've already done a hit and run angle. They did an angle where he was attacked before Survivor Series in his hotel hallway, and then they did last week when he was coming out for a match, the pyro went off and exploded in his face. So they've already done three angles so far, so that you obviously know, hey, somebody's targeting Jeff Hardy. Now at the Royal Rumble, big pay-per-view, somebody runs down, costs him the match. I don't want to confirm anything, but that's a great possibility. You know what I mean?
Depending on how big I'm not watching, so this is strictly just completely guessing. But let's say the Jeff Hardy Edge feud right now is very strong. It sounds like it's more focused on what's going on with Christian coming in, Jeff Hardy in the aftermath of Jeff Hardy and Edge, with Edge and Triple H plan. But it could be something like, just a guess, like a four corners or a three-way match where Christian enters the Royal Rumble, wins it, then you got Triple H versus Edge with Christian and Jeff Hardy in there, and they mix somehow, and then they do a four-way, something like that. That's a guess.
That's possible too. That's possible too, because we had 17 names prior to Raw. I think they announced another 4 on Raw, so we've only got, I want to say 21 names. I'm sure they'll insert a few more into SmackDown this week, which was taped last week.
A lot of big names, though.
What's that?
I said a lot of big names in the Rumble match.
Oh yeah, a lot of big names. A lot of. It's going to come. It's going to be a good Rumble, for sure. And then a lot of times at the Rumble pay-per-view, they kind of sell that pay-per-view just off that one match itself. You've got a pretty good undercard with 2 title matches. I think actually 3 title matches. Yeah, 3 because you've got a Divas title, you've got a WWE title, World title, you got a Tag Team title, right?
You got an Intercontinental title, you got an ECW title, you got a Women's title, then you got the World and the WWE titles. You got 5.
Yeah, it's a stacked card. They've stacked it up top. Besides ECW, because you've got Matt Hardy and Swagger.
Yeah, I don't even know who the hell Jack Swagger is, but he's the champion.
Actually, I'll tell you what, man, that's a new guy that came in, just a few months ago, and. Jim Ross said it best. It may be too early to put him, to have him win the title. It was terrible. I think they're gonna wait. They're gonna take a wait and see approach with this guy. They gave him. Yeah. They had the title match last week on ECW, right? And that's where he won. Swagger won the title last week on ECW. And I think it did a 1.1 rating. TNA's Impact show actually beat out the Impact rating last week. TNA had their second highest rated Impact episode ever last week, and they were able to take out ECW. How
ECW doing a title change?
What's that?
I said, with ECW doing a title change, TNA beating. Is that what you're saying?
Oh yeah, I know. Well, with the title change, you would think. A 1.1 rating is. I don't know. We'll have to. Tonight when ECW is going to start up here in about a half an hour. I would say if the rating doesn't. 2 weeks is. You really can't look at ratings for 2 weeks and make a good judgment call whether it's going to work or not. But I would be. If tonight's rating comes in when it comes out tomorrow. If it comes in at a 1.1 or a 1.0, I wouldn't be surprised if they take that title off him real quick and maybe put it back on somebody else. Whether it's Matt Hardy, well, yeah, because that's obviously he's got the match. He would be the first runner-up. But from what I'm told, Matt Hardy is going to play a prominent role over on SmackDown during this Jeff Hardy angle. They're actually going to do an angle on SmackDown this week where Jeff Hardy runs down. Or Matt Hardy runs down. It was taped last week. Matt Hardy runs down and goes after Edge. I don't mean to spoil it for any of you guys. I should have warned it before I did that. But they're going to do an angle.
Back to the leader thing.
Well, he's going to play a prominent role over on SmackDown. So I don't know if they would give the title back to him. But we'll have to see. We'll just have to wait and see. I think they want Swagger to work. Otherwise they wouldn't give him the title. And they like him. He's got size. He's got that big size. He's got a good physique, and that's obviously, what they like about him. But we'll just have
more than all that. way more than all that, no one on the corner has swagger like Jack. That's pretty much what's going on right now.
I got that. I got that.
You
I
got
don't know
it. Nobody else.
All right, so what else? What else do you have? Hey, here's one for you. I know you're a big fan of Ric Flair and Steve Austin.
Absolutely.
Ric Flair, there were some reports out that Steve Austin had wanted Ric to be the guy that inducted him into the Hall of Fame this year. Obviously, Austin's going to be the headliner for the Hall of Fame this year, and he's been talking to people where he's saying that he wants Ric to be the one that inducts him. And Ric actually just did an interview with the Charleston Post-Courier out of North Carolina, obviously, hometown paper. And a quote here from Ric says, "I heard that too, and I didn't know if it was true or not. That would be cool as hell. I would love to do it." Now, there's how does WWE feel about this? They look at it two ways. Last year's Hall of Fame, with Ric being there, this was his final goodbye, drew record ratings on. They always put that on, they put it on the USA Network. It may have been Spike TV, wherever it is. It drew great ratings, but WWE also considers Flair as kind of an outsider. And I know it's Ric Flair, right? And I know he's got the name Ric Flair. He doesn't really need WWE for any promotion, but WWE, kind of feels that if we bring this guy in, are we putting him over more than he already is? I know.
It's basically putting over somebody that could go and work for somebody else that now has status because WWE gave him status. As far as to the current audience, everybody knows Ric Flair, but to the current, young kids that watch, Raw, SmackDown, ECW, just, casual fans as they're probably like, that doesn't know, hey, Ric Flair ruled the wrestling world the last 20 years, you know what I mean? So, but, you could attest the ratings last year at the Hall of Fame to The Rock, too. If you really wanted to be a dickhead, you could say, it was The Rock and Ric Flair show, and The Rock was the reason, that the ratings were what they were.
That's very true. Yeah, that's very, very true. But they look at it, two different ways is basically what I'm trying to say. I think when it all comes down to it, if that's who Austin really wants to induct him, I don't think they're going to have a problem with it. With
Cowboy Bill Watts, it's got to be Jim Ross inducting Cowboy because Cowboy got Jim Ross's start in the business altogether. So
Dory Funk's going to be there too, by the way. Did you hear that?
Terry Funk?
Terry and Dory.
Oh, no stuff. Wow, that's great.
Yeah. They are both going to, I don't know, I think I put that up on the website. Sometimes I write this stuff up and then I spread it out over the next couple of days. But, they are going to be, they'll be in the Hall of Fame as well. Dory and Terry Funk. And then Bill Watts, Steve Austin will be the headliner. So they've got, they're doing it.
Well, I would assume Terry and Dory's getting inducted if that's the case. Because, I know Terry's been in WWF before. I'm not sure if Dory has. I don't think Dory has. But they've inducted 9 WWE guys before. I'm drawing a blank, but there was a main guy that was inducted that had nothing to do with WWE ever, and he was inducted. That's a big deal. So definitely Terry Funk, though, yeah.
All right, here we go. Boy, JMK loves to take calls. It must be something with him and the calls, man. I got to get. People want news, man. I can do calls later. I know a lot of people are hanging on. I keep telling them, man, I'll do calls, man. I'll tell you. I'll let you know, man. I'll let you know. Let's talk about we talked about the marijuana policy last week here on WZR Radio. Actually, we had between the months of November 1st, 2007 and March 31st, 2008, there were 41 positive tests. That's according to Dave Meltzer from the Wrestling Observer newsletter. We put this up on the website last night, but 41 positive tests. Some of those are duplicates. But that just, that goes to show you guys that, without the if you don't have a prescription, right, people are resorting to other things such as pot. And then when management says, hey, you guys got to cut back the pot, these guys are paying a $1,000 fine every single time that they fail a pot test. So then when management tells these guys, hey, you got to cut back on the pot, what's the next thing that you turn to? Drinking. So, right, then, what would you feel? If you had to pick and choose, I mean, I would say that drinking is more deadlier than smoking pot when it comes down to it. Cause, you know what I mean? A lot of these guys are going to go out.
That's only if you're an alcoholic. I mean, if you're a guy that just after a match wants to go drink a few beers and then go to sleep at his hotel room, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Smoking weed, it just sounds worse. It sounds like you're a drug addict, even though you're, you know, our listeners, as they grow older, will realize, you young little bucks out there, that it's not that big of a deal. But, you know, whatever.
Well, I mean, and they've told these guys that if they continue to fail for pot, that they're gonna face more discipline. That hasn't happened just yet, but it has been. You know, it's known to the guys that, hey, cut back the pot usage, and you know, we'll go from there. Hey, let's run down the Royal Rumble card. We talked about it a little bit, so we'll just run it down real quick. We've got that.
You start running it down. You start running it down.
Are you gonna go pee on me again?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to go to. I'll be right back.
We had a WWE title match, Jeff Hardy versus Edge. Me and Matty B just kind of talked about this a little bit ago. I would expect a run-in here of sorts, whether it's under a mask or whether it's Christian himself remains to be seen. I would go the mask route for right now, and then play it up a few weeks. But they may not do that because they've already done, like I talked about earlier, 3 angles with the Survivor Series. They're in the hotel, in the stairway of the hotel. They did the pyro incident, and they did the hit and run. So it is almost time. I mean, we're getting real close to a Christian return to WWE. Like I said, Dixie Carter has confirmed that, you know, he's going to be back here. So good times are coming over on SmackDown. We've got a world title match here with John Cena against John Bradshaw Layfield. We've got a women's title match, Beth Phoenix versus Melina. We've got an ECW title match, Jack Swagger versus Matt Hardy. And we've got an IC title match with CM Punk versus William Regal for what? The 4th time in about 4 weeks. And then we've, of course, got our 30-man over-the-top Battle Royal Rumble. Derek O., you are live on WZR Radio here on WZROnline.com. What's going on, man?
Oh, well, I know TNA is really behind when they, like, announce pay-per-view locations, and you said TNA is going to be in Philadelphia for Lockdale, and they're going to have a fan fest. Mm-hmm. Do you know, like, because sometimes you said there's a pre-sale. Do you know, like, exactly how to find out, like, when the pre-sale is or how to get tickets?
The best way to get pre-sale information is, I believe it's in Philadelphia. I think it used to be called the Wachovia Center or something along those lines. You want to get on your arena website's mailing list. Everybody's always asking me for pre-sale passwords. I'm on the Times Union Center mailing list, and they send them out through the arena website mailing list. So your best option, if you ever want a pre-sale password, would be to go to the arena website, get on the mailing list. Every arena website has a mailing list. Get on the mailing list, and then they will email you out the pre-sale password. That would be your best bet. That's where I can. What's that?
It's Wachovia. I could have
dealt with that too. He wasn't really a dick. I mean, he wasn't being an ass, right?
No, he had his nice voice on and everything. I mean, it's our show. We got 2 hours to burn. 2 hours. That's 120 minutes. You got to be realistic. After an hour and a half of wrestling talk, especially when it's news, some of the news is already out. Some of the news isn't. You know, you never know what the fans that are listening have heard and haven't heard based on what we're breaking and what's already broken. You got to have something out. And plus, Jesus Christ, we got to have fun too. We got to have.
Yeah, but listen. You got to remember. This is one guy, man. This is one guy. That calls up and says it, right? Screw him. Screw it. If you don't like it, right, go elsewhere, dude. No one's forcing you to be here, man. If you right, we're not force feeding this. I mean, you're the one that clicked on the link, and you're the one that hit the play button. You're the one that hit the play button to listen to the show. If you don't like it, I think there's a stop button right on the players. So shut us off, man. And then not only that, but the guy has been on hold for over an hour and a half, right, since we started this show. So you held on for over an hour and a half, which means you've been listening to the whole show. You held on to the line. Now you're just making yourself out to be a retard, or you just got punked out on live radio. That or whatever. All right. Hey, let's take another live phone call here. What's this one? Nay? Is it Nay Mania?
Mania. I just got a question.
Mania. What's up, man?
What you gonna do, brother?
What you gonna do, brother?
When what comes down? 24-inch pythons come crashing down on you? Is that how the end of that was going to go there? Genius.
You know what he did? This is a guy that called up and he said, "What you going to do, brother?" Click. That's it. That's you got one, man. Let's try this guy. Triple H fan live on WZR Radio here on WZROnline.com. What you going to do, brother?
Hey, I just got a question about TNA. I don't watch TNA much, but see, I get on it sometimes and watch it. And I was watching a pay-per-view once.
Yes.
Final Resolution.
Yes.
Al Snow, I believe it was there, and he helped Kurt Angle win, but then I haven't seen him since. So you know what's with that? Because he was on once, then they never showed him again.
I do know what's with that. Al Snow was a one-time deal for the pay-per-view. And then there was talk. They had told him that if there is an angle, we will use you in an angle if it presents itself. But other than that, it was a one-time deal, and that was that. So I mean, the door is open for him to return. But as far as that one night at the pay-per-view at what was it? It wasn't Genesis, the last pay-per-view. It was pay-per-view before that. But that was only a one-time deal. TNAX Ryan live from the chat room. You're live on WZR Radio here on WZROnline.com. What's going on, man?
What's up? Do you think we're going to see a Biff versus Matt Morgan anytime soon?
Yeah, it's a good question. Let me just say this too. Last Thursday's Impact, the opening 33 minutes of that program. I don't know if you guys can go pull it up online or if you guys saw it. The promo work and just that entire opening segment. The opening segment followed by especially the Bubba Ray Dudley promo. Off the hook, man. Absolutely off the hook. Just great stuff. That 33 minutes of Impact, I can honestly say, was some of the best. Well, that was some of the best wrestling TV that I've seen in months, man. Hey, we've got a caller from California. Maybe it's CG. Who knows? Caller, you're live.
Yeah, that's me. What's happening?
What's happening?
Hey, what's happening? A couple of questions. One wrestling, one UFC. Wrestling-wise, let's say Christian comes back. Let's say he wrestles for WWE back in Florida. Do you think they'll chant "Welcome back" since he's coming back to WWE, or they chant "You sold out"? Even though he was with WWE first in TNA land, Florida, and he wrestled in TNA land.
But you know, here's the thing, man. Here's the thing is there's only a certain amount of TNA fans. You know what I mean? And those TNA fans. I mean, when you go to a live arena, right, and you'll hear you'll see a few TNA fans, but I guarantee you, if you ask, I want to say 75 to 80% of that arena, if you asked them what the hell TNA was, they wouldn't be able to give you an answer. They would not have an answer. They would have no idea where Kurt Angle, where they can see things. TNA doesn't have. It's crazy, man. It's crazy because you see arenas full of people, all wrestling fans, and you would think, okay, all of these people are wrestling fans. Why haven't they found TNA? And I don't have an answer. I honestly,
That's going a little deep, if you ask me. I would say if you hear somebody chant something in an arena, even if you don't know what the hell they're talking about, you're going to start chanting it too. Especially if you're of that age group, if you don't know any better that, Christian's been in TNA. If you hear Christian, you sold out when he comes out. If everybody in the arena, if there's like a loud smattering from the hardcore fans that do know.
There's none. You've got like 20 fans that know what TNA is, and they start a chant, and the other, I mean, those 20 fans.
20 fans, come on.
I mean, they get booed out. No, I mean, if that was the case, you would hear this for people that have, came over from TNA. You would hear it.
Like
people start TNA chants all the time at events. When I was in Albany just a couple weeks ago, there was just a group of guys that would have a little TNA chant, or and nobody would catch on. No one,
It didn't spread.
Yeah, that makes sense because Vince has, like, even on Starrcade, with Dustin Rose was there, Goldust, he said Sting's on Starrcade. We know still where Sting's at. Or even the promo, it had Mick Foley there and Kurt Angle. We all know where them two are at. But I guess Vince doesn't really care about that company that much, I guess. I don't know. Oh, and one more UFC question per se. I remember when Ken Shamrock fought somebody back in the day, and when I guess making his big return on Spike, and all the dude threw was a couple of jabs and right hook and dropped him. Now, you know, when you get a certain kind of age, like Mike Tyson or Muhammad Ali or George Foreman, when you get old, you can't do it no more. Do you think he has a chance, Ken Shamrock, in his match? Because if the dude was a jobber, knocked him out with a couple jabs in the right and knocked him out. Now, Ken Shamrock in the Royce Gracie days was unbelievable. Now he's kind of old, UFC-wise. Does he have a chance, or is he going to get beat up again, you think, Ken Shamrock, on his return?
Okay, here's what we got. With the return, I don't even remember the guy he's fighting. His name might be Mike Murphy, John Murphy, something like that. Whoever it is, we're interviewing Ken Shamrock. We're interviewing him for MMAnews.com. Actually, like, it could be today, I think. He is coming back. He has a very easy fight. So by all intents and purposes, what you're saying, it shouldn't affect him. He's fighting somebody so low on the totem pole that he should win with no problems. But the guy that beat him that you're talking about, that jabbed him, and if that was on Spike, that was Rich Franklin, and that's no jobber. That's the top guy, Rich Franklin. That was the first season of The Ultimate Fighter. So that was a legitimate loss. But his last fight, Ken Shamrock's last fight that he actually had live, you know, at any point, was Cage Rage, and he fought a big stiff, and that guy did knock him out with a very easy punch that, you know, should have knocked him out. So you are right. He's definitely on the down slope, and he's fighting a nobody, but this is a nobody that has no credibility. The guy at Cage Rage at least had some. Okay, go ahead.
Let me just jump in here. I mean, this is kind of off topic, but since I got CG here, who calls in every single week, by any chance, bud, did you see the Andre Berto-Collazo fight from this past weekend? Was that amazing or what?
Yes, Collazo, I thought he won a fight per se, but it was unbelievable from beginning to end.
Listen, how they gave that decision to Berto. I don't know if it was because he was undefeated or what, but there was some serious judging errors. I mean, don't get me wrong. It was a close fight, but I mean, it was the first 3 rounds of that fight were they were some of the best rounds of boxing that I've seen in a long time. I mean, Boom, did you see that yet?
No. Yeah. You guys just spoiled it for me, so now I know what happened. But no.
Yeah, one ref said 116, 111. He said, "Are you nuts?" And the dude said, "Are you nuts?" Give him the draw. If it was
the 116-11 is like, what? And the other guy gave it a try. No, oh, man, it was crazy. I don't want to spoil it all for Boone, man. But
go ahead and talk about it.
I know, but what a great fight. I mean, that was a great boxing fight this past Saturday night.
Yeah, and you know, he just came off that Ricky Hatton fight, Cazago or whatever, and that was BS. So I think they want a rematch to make more money. That's all I can say. Only reason, because Russell just came off that crazy loss against Hatton, and then now this just happened to him. So he might have bad luck like Jeff Hardy. I don't know what to say about that. That's all I can say about that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Who's the big name that Luis Collazo beat? Was it? It's like Shane Mosley or somebody like he has a big win that just happened recently. So they could be looking for a Hatton Collazo too. That makes sense.
Yeah, that's possible. That's definitely possible. Hey, before I forget here, I got to give a shout out to RGC Overkill and his airborne unit that's currently stationed over in Iraq. I know he's spreading the word for us over here or over there in Iraq to people on his base, a bunch of wrestling fans out there on the base. He's got the show up tonight. We're actually in front of a bunch of troops out in Iraq, I believe, tonight, and we're going to be there on his computer for wrestling fans out there. So once again, big shout out to RGC Overkill and his airborne unit stations in Iraq. All the work that you guys do over there is awesome. Can't thank you enough. And it's awesome to know that people, from Iraq, people stationed in Iraq at our Air Force bases, are able to listen. You know what I mean?
I'm glad you waited. I'm glad you waited until there was only 10 minutes left in the show, because that's a lot of pressure right there, what you just said. That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I forgot about it. I wanted to get it out of the way earlier tonight, but I wanted to give the guy a shout out. I mean, the guy does awesome work for us over in Iraq, and it's cool to know that people, over in Iraq are still able to get the wrestling news and they can listen to us, on a weekly basis. So hopefully it'll help us spread the word about WZROnline.com over there to the guys over there, and hopefully all you guys are safe over there and come home safely for sure. You want to talk about a little bit more news? I got a lot of news here that I just wanted to run down real quick before we go off the air. And then I know you wanted to talk about UFC 93. We may go 10 minutes over here. We'll get the WWE news out of the way here, so some people could take off and go watch ECW here in a couple minutes. But I'll stick around here 10 minutes. We'll talk about Vegas, and we'll talk about UFC 94 and UFC 93, which happened this past weekend. Sound good, man?
It's your show, brother. Do what you got to do.
All right, Ken Kennedy. He's going to return next month. He's going to be booked against the Big Show on the house show schedule. They're actually coming up to here, Glens Falls, up at the Civic Center on, I think it's March 1st. March 2nd, somewhere around there, but I was thinking about going up there. So Ken Kennedy, he'll be back here in the next couple months against the Big Show. Hey, you know something? Maybe you'll find this interesting. Dave Meltzer has it in his Wrestling Observer newsletter that Vince McMahon himself believes the economy is going to take a turn for the worse this year, which is possible. It's very possible.
He doesn't believe in Obama, right? He thinks Obama can't fix it quick enough.
He's not a big fan of Barack.
Do we know if Vince McMahon is a Republican or a Democrat? Do we even know that information?
We don't. But I think there was a report out. I think there was a report out of a newspaper or something where Vince was quoted, saying, real kind words about John McCain while they were having their debates and, while they were having the run-up. So I think that's your answer right there. You know what I mean? Probably a Republican. So I don't know, but Barack. Hopefully this guy can come in and change things, man. Let's hope so. It's been a rough year, man. It's been a rough 2008, rough couple years.
It's been a rough 8 years,
Yeah, right. It's just steadily dropping. What else? Hey, let's talk a little bit about Hulk Hogan. This guy's been on radio shows. He's been on TMZ as of late. And
the Grays were telling me this rumor that's going on.
Yeah, but you know that he does this every year, man. Well, are you talking about the Pamela Anderson rumor or no?
No, the Hogan Austin rumor.
Oh, the Hogan Austin thing, for Mania.
That's every year too. Every year too, he does that same thing.
Well, every year he wants to play. He brings up Austin, right? Yeah, he brings up the match with Austin at Mania. But every year he wants to play some sort of role in Mania. You know what I mean? And especially now, man. Especially now.
Well, when you do the Hall of Fame the night before WrestleMania, and you've got some kind of Hall of Fame celebrity, legendary wrestler, and then Hulk Hogan's sitting there, you're like, wait, Hulk Hogan's the biggest name in the business of all time. We want to see Hogan and Austin. Those are the two biggest names ever. And Austin's always there, too, because Austin's such a fan of the sport, and he's always in town for WrestleMania weekend, and he's always he's at least a fan backstage during WrestleMania and in the crowd during the Hall of Fame. So he's always there, too. So they've always got that fan combatant thing where the fans are like, Hogan and Austin, Hogan, Austin.
You've got it, but the thing is Austin has he stated over and over and over again that he doesn't want to do one more match. And the guy, he feels, and this is from him, he feels that he's one big spot away from a really, really serious injury. So if he were to get in there with Hogan, let's be honest, Hogan isn't the best wrestler. Yeah, the best worker in the game. And you put him in there with Austin, sure. It's a huge, huge match. You know what I mean? But
from Austin's perspective, you got to look at it as that he's such a fan of the business that he knows the fans are dying, just like Austin Rock, just like Austin Triple H, Austin Undertaker. They're dying to see Austin and Hogan. It's never happened before, as far as when Austin became a star.
Here's the
So hold on, real quick.
Okay.
Real quick, Austin's like, okay, if we do this match, I'm the one who's got to make it a match, because Hogan is just a guy who's going to be wearing yellow and shows up, and he's a star. He can't work.
True.
He's never been able to work. If this is going to be even a tolerable match, I've got to work overtime, and I haven't been in the ring for years. And you're giving me my first match against Hogan at WrestleMania in the main event, and I got to make it a memorable historic match all on my own. This is all I got to do all this by my.
It's all it's all on Austin, a guy who really is past his prime and hasn't been in the ring for quite some time, and isn't going to go into the ring before a match and take bump after bump and really try to practice for a match. It would be a one-time
thing. Too.
And he'd have to carry that whole match. I mean, that's another thing. Sure, everybody would like to see it, but I don't think it's going to happen. The funny thing is Hogan is coming out in these interviews, and he said it. He did another interview today that I'm going to put on the website after we go off the air, where he said that he would be glad to put over Steve Austin at WrestleMania. Look, Hogan, as of a couple years ago, Hogan would never come straight out and say, "Hey, I'd be glad to put over Austin."
Well, you know what's causing that, right?
Well, you've got a divorce going on.
Exactly.
And you've got a bunch. Yeah, you've got a bunch of
he wants the WrestleMania payoff because he's going through a mean-ass divorce with his wife who's asking for
Yeah, I'll tell you what.
Money.
You hit the nail right on the head. That's exactly where I was going with this. He wants the WrestleMania payoff. He's in tough times. I'm not going to say he's broke.
I'll put you over, Stone. I'll put you over, no problem.
Yeah, I'll put you over. And then he tries to, it's just Hogan's way. It happens every single year. Hogan tries to weasel his way in to WrestleMania, and he starts it out by...
Hogan, if anybody who knows Hogan, he's such a conductor. He to the hardcore, diehard fan audience of wrestling, he's a babyface because he's saying, hey, I want this match to happen. I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to lose. There's no reason that this match can happen unless Austin says no. The only reason it's not happening is because Austin guys hate Austin, not me. I want to do it. I'll lose. I'll do it all.
That's the way he works, though. You know that. It's Hogan, man. I mean, it's just. Yeah. I mean, you can't say that surprises you.
Right, he's Triple H with more legendary status. That's what he is.
Yeah, exactly.
He knows the game.
He knows the game. He nailed it to a T, man. I mean, this is just Hogan's way. Hogan Austin Mania. I wouldn't expect to. I wouldn't bet money on it. That's for sure. But Hogan's gonna try, man. He's gonna. I mean, whether it's a match with Austin or whether it's an appearance on the pay-per-view, like Matty B just said, he wants that Mania payoff, and if he can get it at this point in his life with the divorce and everything else that's going on, he'll take it.
Yeah.
If he can get it, he'll take it. So that's where they're going with that. One more news bit here: Rey Mysterio has agreed to terms on a new contract. I believe it's a 3-year deal with a 2-year option. That's interesting because WWE has been trying to sign these guys to 5 years or more with the new contracts. Rey was really adamant on saying, I only want a 3-year deal. Actually only wanted a 2-year, actually only wanted a 1-year deal and wanted to take it 1 year at a time. Eventually wound up signing a 3-year deal with a 2-year option. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I mean, we're going to have him, obviously, for the next couple of years with the new contract being signed. After that, I don't know that Rey is overly thrilled. As a matter of fact, I know that Rey is not thrilled with his current WWE status, hasn't been thrilled with his status over the last year or so, and, guys getting old. Rey's 34 now, and, by the time his 3-year deal expires, he'll be 37. Granted, Batista's 40, and he's still going strong. Rey's been around. I mean, Rey works a different style.
Look at Batista and look at Rey Mysterio. I don't want to sound heartless, and this is going to sound rude as hell when I say this. But Chris Benoit and Eddie Guerrero are both no longer with us. No matter what happened in either case, if they were still alive and active wrestlers and nothing ever happened and they were just going, because Rey Mysterio was being pushed as the main guy, champion of the wrestling, he won the Royal Rumble, won the belt at Mania. I mean, how much bigger can you get? And now a year later, he's so far down the, he's not the same Rey Mysterio he was last year or the year before that. It's like, what the hell happened? If Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit was still around, the same thing would have happened with them. Eventually, one point or another, they would have been pushed right back down, and they would have been like, wait, what the hell's going on? Just like WCW. They were like, what the hell's going on? I was the main dude here. What happened?
Yeah. Hey, before everybody takes off, because it's 9 o'clock, and usually we get out of here at 9, but before everybody leaves, WrestleMania 25 plans. Basically, we said that it was going to be Christian and Jeff Hardy, and then we'll have Edge and Triple H. The plan as of 2 weeks ago plan as of 2 weeks. I got a call waiting coming in. That's probably why I cut out there. But as of 2 weeks ago for WrestleMania 25, plans called for well, you would have, did you hear it? Beep, beep. No, it's annoying. I tell you what, that is annoying. But the plans called for Jeff to lose the title, obviously, probably at the Royal Rumble. Then he would pass on a title shot, or they could give him a title shot. They could have him. The Elimination Chamber is going to return at No Way Out, which is the pay-per-view after the Royal Rumble. Jeff could either win the Elimination Chamber match and then go on to face Edge for the title, but I think the plan as of 2 weeks ago was for him to pass on the title shot. So even if he did win the Elimination Chamber, he would pass on the title shot and he would want a grudge match against Christian. That would then free up Triple H to come in. You'd have Triple H versus Edge, and then you would have Jeff Hardy involved in a program with the returning Christian. That was as of 2 weeks ago. Whether those plans are still in place, I mean, they could edit this all they want because Christian hasn't made his return to the company yet. So there are a lot of ideas that are being tossed around. Nonetheless, at the Royal Rumble, I don't like to confirm anything, but I would say that Christian is a definite possibility at the Royal Rumble, especially like I was telling the people earlier when you went on a piss break. I was telling them that they've already done three major angles: the pyro, the hit and run, and the Survivor Series incident. So I mean, we're ready to go here. We're ready to go. We know somebody's after Jeff Hardy. Now it's just who is it? And I think the best way to set that up would be at the Royal Rumble on a major pay-per-view where you could have his return. A little bit of TNA news here, and then we're going to talk. We're not going to take a commercial break. We're just going to go right into UFC 93. We're going to end this shindig on some UFC news, talk a little Vegas, do some plugs, take about 15 minutes here, and then we'll wrap this thing up for the night. Thank God hour 2 was a lot better than hour number 1. I apologize for the errors in hour number 1. Looks like we got everything worked out. So next week, we should have no issues whatsoever. Mick Foley, it looks like he's going to work a few matches per year. I talked about this a couple weeks ago with Richard here on WZR Radio. Foley wants to work. He's all about, well, it's not that he wants to work full-time, but he's all about trying to make a smaller company better. And he feels that if you can build some matches up with his name being featured in the match, then, hey, he'll do it. He's all about trying to help this company out and trying to help this company grow. And the same goes for Scott Steiner, Kevin Nash. These are guys that are really happy with their roles in TNA right now and are really, just happy to be there and really want this thing to succeed. And especially with the Main Event Mafia, we'll just have to see. I mean, they were up to a 1.2. They draw their second highest rating ever last week. So, something's clicking over there with TNA, and that was great TV last week. So if there was one night that you really wanted to break a record or come in second to your record, right behind your record, that would have been the night to do it because that was great TV. What else? Dave Meltzer reports that Dixie Carter is telling people backstage that she was misquoted several times in who's the guy? Waxman, the guy that the Congress guy who's going after wrestling. I don't know. That was they released a transcript. Sometimes on those transcripts it automatically types itself. Somebody's not sitting there typing that. With the technology now, this stuff does it automatically. And nonetheless, that's what came out. That's what was posted on the website. She says that she was misquoted. You could take that. I mean, it's her word over somebody else's word. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's that. We talked about April's Lockdown pay-per-view going to be held in Philadelphia. A caller asked about pre-sale password. I do not have that. I know they're going to do a fan fest. So we're going to build that up. Lockdown is their all-cage match pay-per-view, be held in Philly this year. That'll happen in April. The February, March, and May pay-per-views are all going to be held in Orlando, Florida. I can now confirm that that is a cost-cutting measure, as it requires a lot of money to well, number one, produce a live show, and number two, take your equipment on the road and get it from arena to arena. So that's why Impact is held in Orlando on a weekly basis, and that's why your pay-per-views are going to, well, not all of them are going to be kept in Orlando, but I would say at least half of them in 2009 will be in Orlando. You'll have a couple scattered.
With Philly, you got to look at ECW. That's where they was really making their marks. That diehard cult following is definitely there in Philadelphia.
No, you've got places like Philly, Chicago, Connecticut. I mean, you've got places up in the Northeast. You've got your diehard fans.
Baltimore.
Yeah, anyway, even Virginia down there. TNA's had a lot of success in Virginia as of late, actually, to be honest. They just did a house show run there a couple weeks ago, and they did okay business from what I was told. So we'll have to wait and see on that. New Japan, they are working hard. They want to improve relations with TNA. It benefits both companies, New Japan and TNA. TNA sends workers there, New Japan sends workers here, and we get to see talent showcased, from both companies. So they are working to better the relationship, and we'll see where it goes from there. Last thing, TNA-related Global Impact special that they taped. They're taping parts of it right now. They're in the United Kingdom on the house show run. That is not going to air until February, I believe. May even be March. And also on that show, there's going to be, they did a New Japan show a couple weeks ago where there were a lot of title changes, so they're going to air highlights from the New Japan show as well as the United Kingdom tour that they are on right now. They'll piece it all together, put on a Global Impact 2 special, and that will air sometime in February. All right, what else, brother? What else? Let's talk UFC 93 from this past weekend real quick, UFC 94 in Vegas talk, and then we'll get on out of here, man. Put this archive up in just a little bit.
Actually, we got to talk about Affliction before UFC 94, because Affliction's just coming Saturday in WC, if we want to talk about that. That's only one fight. UFC 93 was this past Saturday night, actually afternoon, live on pay-per-view in Dublin, Ireland, which I didn't know until halfway through the pay-per-view, which pissed me off quite a bit. But, it was Marcus Davis opening up the pay-per-view against Chris Lytle, two boxers who have both been on the Ultimate Fighter reality show, both had, great success in the UFC, and it was expected to be the Gotti Ward of, UFC stand-up fighting. It didn't quite turn out to live up to those expectations, but it was a great fight. And Marcus Davis won by split decision. Two judges gave him the fight 29-28, and one judge gave the fight to Chris Lytle 29-28. So that's 2 rounds to 1 on each side. 2 for Davis, 1 for Lytle. Alan Belcher upset Dennis Kang in his UFC debut via submission by guillotine choke. He tapped him out in round 2 at 4:36 of the second round. So Alan Belcher spoiled Kang's UFC debut party, but it was a close fight, closer than people expected. I've got some friends, him, Larry Goldberg. He hates Dennis Kang for very, very personal reasons, and was telling me, don't bet him. I'm like, you ain't got to tell me that. I already know it's a close fight, It's not a showcase fight for Dennis Kang to come into the UFC and look good. It's a hard fight, and if he wins, he's got to move on to bigger and better things because he earned the right to do so. If he doesn't, he's not the guy that everybody thought he was, because he's been slipping since Pride fell off. Since Pride's been gone, he's lost a couple of fights in Europe, because he speaks like 8 different languages or something crazy. So, but he's on a losing slide right now.
Yeah.
Husamar Palhares defeated Jeremy Horn via unanimous decision. He won across the board all 2 rounds, 30-27, 30-27, 30-27. And that was a decent fight. That was kind of expected to be the ground version of Gotti Ward on this pay-per-view. There was a lot of good style matchups, and that was supposed to be the big ground fight of the show. And it was all over the ground, but there was some boring moments. It wasn't a very exciting fight. So anyway, Husamar Palhares defeated Jeremy Horn. 2 main events. We got Mauricio Shogun Hua. He defeated Mark Coleman, the UFC Hall of Fame legend, via TKO from strikes at round 3, 4:36. There was only 24 seconds to go. He got dropped. Great combination that dropped him.
What? Did you see Coleman, man? Coleman was so gassed. You were just waiting for him. You were waiting for the one shot that was just going to murder him, man. It was just going to put him down. But then Shogun got so tired himself. But Shogun looked better. Coleman was just so gassed.
You got to add in age, too. Coleman's 44. Shogun's like 26. Shogun's real young. Coleman's real old. But Shogun's only fought in the UFC once before. That was against Forrest Griffin, a fight he was heavily favored to win because at that time he had been on a winning streak that included Rampage and Alistair Overeem and Nogueira's twin brother and Hikaru Arona. I mean, some big names. I mean, and he wasn't just beating them; he was destroying them. So going into Forrest Griffin.
I know I missed it. I wasn't listening, but the Chris Lytle and Marcus Davis. Yes, I never got to see that. Did that live up to the hype or no?
No, it was expected. Like I said, it was expected to be Gotti Ward UFC version with the small gloves and all stand up, and it was pretty much all stand up, and it was small gloves, and it was some good action, but it wasn't what it was built to be. It was supposed to be like a Gotti Ward of the UFC, and it wasn't that.
Really? Yeah, I know it went 3 rounds. I read the results, but I didn't get I didn't get to see the actual fight. So I didn't miss much.
No, well, you missed a good fight. Let's put it that way. Just the way they build it, you expected a good fight to be a disappointment, and like an amazing fight to be like that's what you expected, kind of thing.
Okay.
So, but anyway, Shogun defeated Coleman. Like I said, there was 24 seconds left, and I know me and Ryan disagree on the stoppage. I kind of thought it was a little. If you looked at the whole fight as a whole, Coleman could have won a decision, and that is unheard of. I mean, my God, even though they fought before and Coleman won, it was in pride. The way he won, double leg takedown attempt. You know, he goes to take Shogun down, and this is after he's getting his ass whooped the whole fight. He goes to take Shogun down. Shogun goes to plant his hand on the way down on the takedown, and his elbow dislocates, completely goes out of socket, and the fight's over. And Coleman refuses to acknowledge the fact that he got lucky or that it was a fluke win or a freak accident. He just says, I was trying to take him down. He went to plant his hand during the takedown, and he broke his arm, and I did that to him. So I won, and I won't say it was lucky. I won't say it was a fluke, and I won't say it was a freak accident, that's exactly what it was. But in this fight, Coleman was looking great. Shogun was looking horrible. We'll put it that way. And Coleman was looking good.
I'll give you that. Shogun looked horrible, but to say that Coleman looked great,
No, that's why I said he looked good. He looked good. He didn't look great. You're right. He looked
good, but like a minute into the first round, he was gassed. So
that's what I was going to say. For a 44-year-old guy that only knows wrestling and doesn't know submissions, doesn't know striking, he's 44 years old. He's way out of his element now, especially against a guy like Shogun, who's considered to be one of the best pound-for-pound fighters, et cetera, et cetera. The fact that he got completely gassed a minute into the first round and was still whooping his ass in the second round, and in the beginning of the third round, during the third round, he had his moments. I mean, the fact that was happening with him basically going on instinct with no gas in the tank, and he was still in the fight, let alone it was like
no doubt. You gotta give the guy credit for hanging in there. I mean, he hung in there, and then it sucked. The only thing about the decision, the stoppage, I thought it was a good. I mean, he got rocked, but then there was only like 25 seconds left in the fight. So if he could have just held on,
he was. The second he hit it was a knockdown that they stopped the fight. He hit him with like a right hook, a right uppercut, and like a left cross.
Well, it was the uppercut that got him. The uppercut.
Yeah, the uppercut screwed his head up. The uppercut completely, damn near. What's the word? Decapitated. There you go.
Decapitated. Yes, that's what I was looking for too.
Almost took his head off with the punch, with the uppercut, and then he hit him with a left hook to boot right afterwards, which put him on his knees. And as soon as he hit his knees, the referee jumped in, and like I was trying to tell you, as soon as he hit his knees, he immediately pivoted and started going for a takedown off the ground. So he was defending. He was fighting back, which are the criteria. If you're on the ground and you got hurt or dropped with a punch, if you're defending well or fighting back, they don't stop the fight. And when there's only 24 seconds left in the fight, that guy shouldn't have even had a chance lasting through one round in, and the fact that he was dropped and he was still fighting, they should have let him at least go to the decision and lose the decision, because he would have definitely lost the third round. And it's doubtful that he would have won both the first and second rounds on every 3 judges' scorecards.
The stoppage sucked. It sucked because there was only a couple seconds left in the fight, so you wanted to see it finish and you wanted to see the decision. But as far as the stoppage itself was concerned, I really didn't feel it was all that bad.
It wasn't all that bad. It wasn't even bad. It was just like, come on, let him finish. You know what I mean? Just let him. He did way more than anybody expected. Just give him a chance to at least leave with his head held high. You know what I mean? He doesn't deserve to, but he worked hard and he made it there. It's kind of like Shogun and Coleman was like, even though it was a fresh 3 rounds, from 1 to 3, it was like Gotti Ward the last 7, or 8, 9, and 10th rounds. It was the 8, 9, and 10th rounds of the Gotti Ward fight because they were tired a minute into the first round. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it was like these guys are so winded, but they're still fighting hard, and it's amazing to see. It's like Forrest Griffin and Stephen Bonner. Those guys were dead tired after the first round of that classic fight they had, but the second and third rounds were amazing because they were like huffing and puffing, but they were still going crazy.
But they were still going at it. I know. It was absolutely crazy. Hey, let me just let me cut you off real quick. I know we got the main event to go to, but listen to this, right? We're at 9:15 Eastern time, right? I mean, we're well past the time that we usually go off the air, right? So anybody that is still listening right now to go through, the UFC, these are basically the diehard fans of WZR Radio, right? So what I'm thinking is, you kind of brought it up. I didn't have any plans earlier in the night, but you brought it up earlier, right? I said I was going to give away an Xbox 360 SmackDown versus Raw. So what I'm thinking is, now that, the regular listeners of the show, right? They're all gone, whatever, screw them. We didn't give a game away, whatever, this, that. They're probably all pissed off. But for the diehard fans that are still with us right now, still listening to the UFC, what do you say, man? If they got an Xbox 360 and they want a SmackDown versus Raw 2009 game, what do you say, man? Let's take the first caller right now. The first caller that calls up that's still here with us at the late hour of 9:16 Eastern time. Let's give them a free game. What do you think, man?
I like it.
I like it too, man, because then you know that it's the diehard fans that are actually calling up, that actually stick around, that actually want the game.
It's a CG from California. It's a Rhode Island. It's somebody damn well loves the show and isn't worried about wrestling and ECW's on. I got to turn off WZR. No.
Exactly.
WZR first.
All right, so let's do it, man. We got 724-444-7444. Call ID number 30273, followed by the pound key. You give us a call. We'll take the first caller right now. If you got an Xbox 360 for Xbox 360 SmackDown versus Raw 2009 game. Hey, we got a caller right now. Let's see if this guy's got a. Let's see if this guy's got an Xbox 360 right now. Boston Hope from the chat room. Hey, what's up, man? You got an Xbox 360, man?
I do.
All right, no doubt. Well,
ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, all right. We need a bell or something. We need some sort of bell. Hey, do me a favor, man. I'll send this out to you tomorrow. There's actually another guy, Eric. He won a game a couple weeks ago, and I still haven't sent it out. So I'll get this out to you tomorrow. Just shoot me an email. It's you got something you can write this on. It's webmaster@prowrestlingscoops.com. Webmaster@prowrestlingscoops.com. Just email me an address or a P.O. box or somewhere that I can send this, and I'll get it out to you tomorrow or Thursday.
All right, good. Look, thank you.
All right, no doubt, man. Thanks for supporting the show. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, bud. Take it easy. All right, so we got that out of the way. SmackDown versus Raw 2009 game. I want to do it that way, man, especially to a diehard caller. You know what I mean?
I was going to say that after my fourth piss. I was going to say, hey, we started a contest to get into the show, right?
Yeah, no. I had, some of the people in the chat room were saying, hey, man, where's the game, man? They said they were going to give away a game. And when I say I'm going to give away something, I don't want to give it away. That's a guy that's still listening, man. 9:20, we're over our limit, and somebody that's still listening. So it's good that
we're not even talking about wrestling right now either.
No, I know. That's good, man. See, some people still stick around, man. When you got Matty B and Ryan Clark on here, man, I don't know how you can take off, How can you take off early, right?
I don't know. I wish we would have, though. We're taking off late. It's crazy. I can't believe we're going 2 hours and 20 minutes, and we still got stuff to go. It's crazy.
I know. So we had, back to UFC 93, we had our main event, Dan Henderson and Rich Franklin.
Yes, Dan Henderson and Rich Franklin. As I said earlier in the show, that at one time Dan Henderson was not only was he the middleweight champion of Pride, he was the light heavyweight champion of Pride too, like the Chuck Liddell, Rashad Evans, Rampage division. Plus he was the Anderson Silva, Rich Franklin, Travis Luter division. He was the champion of both divisions at the same time in Pride, which has never been done before. Which could happen at the UFC we go to in Vegas. If BJ Penn beats George St. Pierre, he'll be both the lightweight and welterweight champion of the UFC at the same time, which has never happened in the UFC before.
Yeah, that'd be crazy, man.
Never happened in MMA at all, except in Pride, when Dan Henderson held both the middleweight and light heavyweight titles. Anyways, At one point, Dan Henderson was the middleweight champion of Pride, and Rich Franklin, at the same time that Dan Henderson was champion of Pride, was the middleweight champion of the UFC. So it was like a long-time fight where it's like, who's the best middleweight in the world? Is it really Rich Franklin or is it really Dan Henderson? Which one is it, you know? Then Anderson Silva comes along and says, it's neither one of you junks, you know, you jobbers, you punks. It's me. I'm the king. You know, you guys can fight for number 2. And even though they fought at 205, so they didn't even fight at middleweight. They fought at light heavyweight. And Rich Franklin was thought to have the edge, you know, at 205 because he's bigger. So, you know, he cuts down from a higher weight. He's a naturally bigger fighter than Dan Henderson. So he should have, if not a strength advantage, he shouldn't be like. It's a hard thing to describe. If you really want to know like the whole in and out of the fight, there's a lot of cool things that was going on there. Like Dan Henderson is an Olympic wrestler in Greco-Roman wrestling, which means in the clinch, he's, you know, very strong. But Rich Franklin's actually bigger, so he kind of neutralizes that. Striking, Dan Henderson's known for his wrestling, but also is known for his freakishly knockout power right hand and left hooks. But Rich Franklin's known for his footwork, and he's more of a boxer than a slugger, you know what I mean? And both of them are pretty much equal as far as submissions on the ground, maybe slight advantage to Rich Franklin. This is a beautiful style matchup. And a lot of people went in thinking Rich Franklin was going to take it. Me and Ryan, we actually debated for a good 10 minutes before the fight started as to who we were going to bet our money on, because we both agreed, screw what the Vegas says, screw what the odds makers say. This is an even fight right here. You know, who knows who's going to win? I have no idea. So we argued it out, and the end result was I picked Dan Henderson, much like I picked Shogun in the previous fight, and I won both the fights. There you go.
You did.
And there was it was a controversial stoppage in the Shogun fight, so technically you could have said, hey, you got lucky. Yeah. It was a controversial decision in the Henderson-Franklin fight. You could have said I got lucky on both of them.
Yeah, no doubt. How the hell did we just spend 21 minutes on UFC 93? You want to see if we could do Affliction in UFC 94 plus the plugs all by 9:30?
I know I can get it done in 5 minutes if you leave it to me, because I didn't want to go this long anyway.
Let's do it, man. Let's run it down.
Affliction 2 is this Saturday night, January 24, 2009, at the Honda Center in Anaheim, California, which is the same venue I went to for my only UFC, Tito Ortiz, Forrest Griffin, Andre Arlovski, Tim Sylvia 2. Featured bouts on Affliction 2 will be, half the card is on HDNet, which is a TV channel. It'll be free on HDNet. The main event of the HDNet portion of the card will be twin brother of former UFC interim heavyweight champion or former Pride heavyweight champion Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira. It'll be Antonio Rogerio Nogueira fighting former UFC light heavyweight contender Vladimir Matyushenko. The pay-per-view will feature a bunch of big fights. Paul Buentolo versus Baby Fedor. Chris Hordesky versus Dan Lozon. Babalu versus Sokashu.
Oh, you said Baby Fedor. So you've got Fedor and his brother?
No. Alexander Emelianenko's brother. There's a guy that they call Baby Fedor because he fights out of the Fedor team, and he looks like Fedor, and he fights like Fedor.
Okay, all right.
So they call him Baby. His name is, I can't even really say it. It's like Kirill Nikov or something like that. I couldn't even say it. My life depends on it. All Russian names are hard, man. They're hard to say. But his nickname is Baby Fedor. Matt Lindland versus Vitor Belfort. Josh
Wow,
Barnett.
No way. Lindland versus Belfort?
Yeah.
That's a rematch. Isn't that a rematch from... No?
No.
Okay.
Lindland's always fought at 185. He's always been a top contender. Vitor Belfort's always been at 205. He's always been a top contender.
Then who did Lindland fight? You guys, MMAnews.com had an exclusive interview up with Lindland. He was outside. Didn't he make a joke? He made some sort of joke.
That was the last Affliction pay-per-view.
Who did he fight on there then?
I'm just struggling to remember. I really don't remember, man. I don't remember that.
It
might have been Matyushenko, but I don't know. It was somebody that he beat. That it was a good fight though. It wasn't a scrub, and he beat him. But yeah, he made some kind of racist joke about Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg that I don't even remember the joke, but I remember it wasn't racist like everybody thought. But we got some attention as a website, MMAnews.com, because everybody was going up in flames about this racist for Matt Lindland. But anyways, Matt Lindland versus Vitor Belfort, Josh Barnett versus Gilbert Ivel, and as we said before in the show, the main event is maybe the top 2, if not the top 3 or 4 heavyweights in the world, depending on where you put Brock Lesnar, Frank Mir, and Randy Couture. Fedor versus Andre Arlovski for the WAMA heavyweight championship.
Yeah, and it really sucks. It really sucks because a lot of people don't get to see Fedor. You know, look, it's not UFC. UFC. You know,
let's put it this way. The very first time you ever saw Fedor, and I don't even know if you remember it, it was Vegas. It was Pride's first U.S. event. The first time Pride came to America. They went to Las Vegas, the Thomas and Mack Center, and it was Fedor versus Mark Coleman. And you, just looking at the two guys, you said Fedor is a chubby, non-intimidating-looking Russian, and Coleman is this badass-looking killer, and he's got the highlights from his earlier career back in the middle 90s, 95, 94, around that range, to back it up. And I said, guys, it was you, and I don't know if I can say it on the air without you getting pissed, but your friend House, you remember House?
Yeah.
Yeah, you and House said, I will bet everything in my wallet on Coleman. I said, guys, I'm taking your money tonight because I will bet anything in your wallet times 100, times 1,000, times 1,000,000 that Fedor will win. I kept trying to be fair, too. I kept trying to be fair. I was like, guys, I'm warning you right now that I'm ripping you off.
All right, but you say this, right? I was over at Dan's the other night. House was over there, right? And we had this big debate about UFC, and me and House were telling everybody, yo, Fedor's not going to get beat. And this is the two guys that were saying Fedor was a chump when he fought Mark Coleman. And then he murdered Coleman. And then what was the last fight? The Last Affliction. Was it the Last Affliction? No. When did Fedor fight left?
Last Affliction.
When he knocked out somebody big, man. Sylvia, yes. So when he took Sylvia down, it made him look like a joke, man. I'll never go against Fedor. I mean, Fedor is, and I didn't know him, that. You got to let people know. I didn't know him. I had no idea.
I told you both. I said, guys, I'm telling you right now, this is the most one-sided fight maybe in history, because not only is Fedor the best in the world, but Coleman is maybe the worst in the world at heavyweight right now. It's a terrible matchup. Fedor is not losing unless it's the freakish accident in the world. There's no way he's losing. And you guys were so sure of yourself. You were like, yeah, we'll bet you. I think it was like a $50 bet from both of y'all. I'm like, oh, guys, you're losing money, man. I'm telling you, I'm stealing your money right now.
Well, let me redeem myself, because from that day forward, Ryan Clark's never bet against Fedor, and probably never will. You know,
the only guy you could say you could bet against him was Randy Couture, and then Brock Lesnar came in and destroyed Randy Couture. So now you're like confused.
Now you're like, hey, could Brock take it? I mean, Brock would be the only guy that would, I don't know, maybe have a shot. Two options. Either Brock is way better than Fedor, or Brock doesn't stand a chance against Fedor. That's pretty much the general consensus from the diehard MMA community. Okay, well, what happens if you take Fedor to the ground? I mean, does Fedor have a ground game?
Fedor is better on the ground than he is standing. That's what's
really? Get out of here.
Nogueira fought Fedor 3 times, and Nogueira is the best ground fighter in the world. Nogueira couldn't touch him 3 times.
Wow.
3 different fights. He just got blasted with ground and pound. And I'm saying, he didn't just lay there and get hit. He was throwing up submission after submission. Fedor was throwing him off like it was nothing. Armbar, get out of here. Triangle, get out of here. Like it was goofy. Like, why are you even trying to? Get out of here. Stop it. You're making me nervous. Yeah.
So you guys, I mean, the guys that don't know anything about Fedor, I mean, this is, what'd you say? I mean, we just ran down the card. That's this Sunday night, or Saturday night.
Saturday.
That's on, that'll be on pay-per-view, like Boone said. One of the couple matches, maybe just one. Is it just one that airs on?
I think 3 fights on HDNet.
All right, so definitely, I mean, if this is an Affliction show, I mean, if you guys have never seen Fedor fight, especially Fedor versus Arlovsky, I mean, this would be the Affliction pay-per-view that you would want to order. I mean, this is the big one, guys. The last one was big too, with Fedor and Sylvia and a bunch of undercard fights, but this is a really big one, because as Boone said, at one point Fedor was Pride champion, where Arlovsky was UFC champion at one point. So it's kind of, it's a major matchup in MMA. So
don't get confused, because at the same time, the last Affliction fight was Fedor-Tim Sylvia was the main event, and at one time, Tim Sylvia was UFC heavyweight champion. Fedor was the Pride heavyweight champion. At no point was Tim Sylvia considered unbeatable, destructible monster that nobody can touch, like a Mike Tyson figure, like a George Foreman figure, like a Muhammad Ali. Fedor is that guy now. He is Mike Tyson of the 80s. He's a guy.
Let's also remember that boxing trainer Freddie Roach is actually in the corner of Arlovsky, who is training him basically how to throw punches. And Roach has actually publicly said that he feels that he could knock him out, that Arlovsky could knock Fedor out. And, so I don't know.
That's what I was getting to. At one point, Arlovsky, just like Fedor and Pride, Arlovsky in the UFC was considered a guy that nobody was going to beat. And the time he got beat was the one UFC I went to, also in Anaheim, where this Affliction show will be. It was Arlovsky, Tim Sylvia 2. In the first fight, Arlovsky, Tim Sylvia 1. Arlovsky won the title, et cetera, et cetera. Second fight, Arlovsky drops Tim Sylvia. Huge punch. Boom! Tim Sylvia's down. The crowd, raw. They go crazy. Like when you go to the UFC this coming week, or next Saturday, you have no idea what you're expecting. Okay. Arlovsky knocks Tim Sylvia down. The crowd goes freaking ballistic. Tim Sylvia somehow gets up, drops Arlovsky within like 10 seconds after that. Boom, Arlovsky's down. Whoa, the crowd goes nuts. Tim Sylvia jumps in. Boom, 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 boom. The referee jumps in. The fight's over. Tim Sylvia wins. Whoa, the crowd's going crazy. It's the most amazing sound I've ever heard in my life, and it's crazy. But at no point was Tim Sylvia the unbeatable monster heavyweight champion. But at one point, Arlovsky was. And at the same time he was, Fedor was the unbeatable guy overseas in Japan doing the same thing in a ring in Pride. So this is a big fight, Ryan said. If you're going to order one Affliction show, like Ryan said, this is the one to order. This Saturday, January 24th, Affliction 2 on pay-per-view. So there you go.
All right, we got to get out of here. I know we got UFC 94 this Saturday. Let's run that down. What's that?
It's at 9:30. It's 9:30. Bam, I know.
Oh, I know. Bam, we made it, but we didn't do UFC 94 yet.
Well, next week is the last show before UFC 94, so it's the perfect time to get all hyped up about Vegas and just talk about it on the air and stuff.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. No, I'm not in any rush, man. I just didn't know if our producer, if the guy that's produced wanted to put the archive up or whatnot. But I mean, let's talk UFC 94. We'll run that down and then we'll do the plugs and get out of here.
I don't have UFC 94 in front of me, but off the top of my head, I know it's obviously the main event is George St. Pierre, the welterweight champion, against BJ Penn, the lightweight champion. First time it's ever been champion versus champion. Unless you count like an interim champion, like Frank Mir versus Nogueira or something, where it was an interim title, not the real title. So this is the first time it's champion versus champion. It's a big deal. Undercard, the top semi-main event is Thiago Silva versus Lyoto Machida. Lyoto Machida is coming off the win over Tito Ortiz, and Thiago Silva's coming off a big win as well, where he stopped Houston Alexander.
We got what's the other one? Nate Diaz versus Clay Guida.
That's the other real big fight that's kind of positioned a little lower on the card. That might be the first fight on the pay-per-view, actually.
Wow,
also,
really?
Stephan Bonner is fighting on that card. John Fitch versus Akira Gona. A lot of big fights on that card. A lot of big fights. It's the biggest UFC in history. It'll be not this Saturday. That'll be Affliction. Sunday it'll be WEC 38 with Jens Paul versus Uriah Faber 2. And then next Saturday will be the UFC that we're going to in Las Vegas. Also, this coming Wednesday, tomorrow, tonight, depending on when you're listening to this, will be the second installment of UFC Primetime, a 3-part series. First time they've ever done it this way, as a countdown special towards the UFC 94 event that Ryan and myself will be going to in Las Vegas. So it's a huge card. Definitely check it out. Biggest fight in history, biggest pay-per-view in history. Amazing show. Las Vegas, Super Bowl weekend. Crazy stuff. Check it out.
Crazy stuff. We'll actually be in Vegas. We're going to try to do a live show from Vegas. We'll be able to put it up if we get the time. Friday night, I believe. What time's your flight get in? About 7:30 to Vegas. I think we arrive at about the same time. You know what the messed up thing is, man? Is remember that plane that crashed? I
was going to say, you never told that story on the air, did you?
No, I didn't. I'll say it right now. There was a U.S. Airways jet that crashed in the Hudson River. Granted, it left from LaGuardia, right? And I'm leaving from Albany, but it's a U.S. Airways jet, and it's bound for Charlotte, right? I'm flying a U.S. Airways jet bound for Charlotte. That's my transfer switch. So I got to get out at Charlotte and then go on to Vegas. But I think we arrive at the same time in Vegas, and then I think we're going to head down to the MGM Grand.
We're going to Chris Angel?
Yeah, we're going to Chris Angel on Friday. We got UFC on Saturday. Sunday's the Super Bowl, and then we'll be back. I think I get back here about midnight on Monday. Yeah, I think mine's close to midnight on that Monday. So I'll be back. I'll probably miss Raw that week, so I don't know about the show the day after. I mean, we'll still do a show. We're going to be here next week, and then I'll be here the Tuesday after. I mean, I'm sure we'll have
I can always download Raw for you. I can always give you a download for Raw, like the second it's over. Like
yeah. I'll be able to catch that. I'll be able to catch Raw somewhere. You know, I'll probably watch it on Tuesday during the day, like you said, find me a download or something like that. And then, when we come back from Vegas, that Tuesday show, we'll have a lot to talk about. We'll be able to talk about the Vegas trip and everything. So to be
you gotta understand, we're staying at the MGM Grand in Vegas. Not only are we're gonna be in, like, picture this: you go in the elevator, you go downstairs. Most places you go, there's a lobby. We're gonna be going to a casino. Okay, that's cool. We're gonna be in a MGM Grand Super Bowl weekend, major UFC pay-per-view. Chris Angel's doing his stuff the same weekend as well, all in the same exact place. At the same exact place.
I know, it's crazy.
So we're going to walk into an elevator, and we'll be standing there, and, like, Al Pacino will be standing next to us, because he'll be in town to go to the UFC or something. Like, some big celebrity, we're going to run into him. We're walking around in our pajamas.
I'm sure we'll have pictures. We'll have pictures of, I'll put pictures up. I'll have the camera. We'll throw some pictures up on the website for you guys. See who we run into. And I remember one time, what'd you say in California? There was one time you went up to get some popcorn or a beer or something, and there's Rob and there's Rob standing in the line, right?
Everybody goes outside to smoke because you're not allowed to smoke indoors, as you know. So outside, whatever the outdoor smoking area is, we go out there to smoke a cigarette. This is before the pay-per-view even started, before the prelims even started, because I wanted to see the prelims too. Nick Diaz. Famous fighter. His brother Nate Diaz is fighting Clay Guida at the show we're going to. So Nick Diaz will be there too. Nick Diaz comes walking by. He's got a fight against, who the hell was it? Sean Shirk. He fought Sean Shirk on the pay-per-view I went to. Nick Diaz versus Sean Shirk was on the pay-per-view I went to. So Nick Diaz comes walking by, and he's just chilling, taking pictures of people signing on. And, like, it's a smoking area. He's just walking by out of nowhere. Then later in the show, during the actual pay-per-view, like the actual beef of the pay-per-view, the big part of it, my buddy that I went to the pay-per-view with, who works in wrestling, he did the DVD 101 Reasons Not to Be a Pro Wrestler, the New Jack Hardcore, Michael Moody. He does wrestling DVDs. He said, hey, I know Rob Van Dam. He's like, you're going to get a drink right now, right? I was like, yeah, I need a beer before the next fight. He's like, come on with me. I'll introduce you to RVD. So we go, and the RVD's on the same level as us as far as where we were seated.
Yeah.
On the same drinking line that we would go to, like right outside our curtain. That's
Vegas. You run into people. Well, you weren't in Vegas. You were in California. But I'm just saying that is kind
Vegas
of
is even better,
where you are, and in Super Bowl weekend, it'll be packed on that weekend. So it is going to be. I'm really, really looking forward to that, man.
And Rob Van Dam is short as hell in person. Let me just say that. Now let's do some plugs.
Yeah, let's do some plugs, baby. All right, let's wrap this shindig up. We'll get out of here. Sorry for running long. We had a lot to talk about, and I know we had about a half an hour of BS talk in the beginning, but nonetheless, we got it all out of the way. We got UFC, MMA, WWE, TNA, Raw. We still got you all covered. Even though we ran and raved for a little bit, we still had you all covered. And you guys that missed it on the live show, I'm sure you're listening right now on the archive. So, that about does it. Let's plug this shindig, and we'll get on out of here. I'm going to have JMK on next week, I believe. He's going to come down and talk to you about the server. We're way over on time. We got the server. The server is all transferred over. There is no more WZRradio.com. It's WZROnline.com. We've got tons of news up there, guys, tons of exclusive news, backstage rumors on a daily basis, all the wrestling news. We've got all the archives up there, everything. It's WZROnline.com. So get on over there and check that out. You can check out my website at www.prowrestlingscoops.com.
What's that?
That's scoops with two S's, prowrestlingscoops.com.
What's that the inside scoop on?
That's the inside scoop on pro wrestling, baby.
Oh.
Check out my other website at www.thewrestlinganswer.com.
What's that taking the wrestling world by?
Oh, that's taking the wrestling world by storm. Can I get some wind, Matty-Bone? TheWrestlingAnswer.com. Lots of galleries up there. Photos of Christian's hot wife, Jeff Hardy's real-life girlfriend, Vicky Guerrero nude photos, stuff like that. TheWrestlingAnswer.com. Check out my TNA website, TNAWrestlingNews.com. TNA News all day, every day, 365 days a week, 7 days a week, 52 weeks a year. TNAWrestlingNews.com.
You said 365 days a week. Again, dude, how do you do that?
No, I didn't. I said 365 days a year.
You said 365 days a week, 365 days a year, one right after the other.
I did not. I said 300.
Listen to the archive.
You get out of here. 365 days a year, 7 days a week, 52 weeks in a year.
Not what
Whatever.
you said.
Well, screw it. Whatever. Anyway, check it out, TNAWrestlingNews.com. Check out my MMA website, MMAscoops.com. And Matty B, you got MMAnews.com. What do you got cracking over there, buddy?
We got a pre-UFC 94 interview with John Fitch up. That just came up today. That's the only reason I know that. Other than that, we got a million exclusive interviews every week, brand new, only to us, exclusive to us, exclusive video content, most respected rankings, most respected forums, most large forums. We're coming out with a new design that Ryan has seen, and I'm telling you right now, when you see this, oh my God, we're Sherdog. If you're listening, we're coming after your ass. Right? By the way, Jim can't agree with me. He said you said a week, 365 days a week. You did say that. Thank you very much. That's my plug.
Man, you're going to go out like that. Yeah. All right, no doubt, guys. Thanks for joining us, as always, tonight. We'll be back next week, 7 to 9 Eastern Time, right here on WZROnline.com. So, for Matt Boone.
That's me.
This is Ryan Clark.
That's him.
Saying see you next Tuesday, 7 to 9 Eastern Time, right here, WZROnline.com. Later, guys.
Go!